Chapter 840. Xiao Yan left after helping Feng Luan's mercenary company enter Wuyu City. He did not stay any longer. From his point of view, this place was merely his first stop in the Western Wasteland region. The place he wanted to go was an even more bustling area. Only at that place would Xiao Yan be able to meet true experts. After Xiao Yan left, the mercenary group also followed closely behind. Feng Ruyan's pretty face was filled with disappointment as she followed the group. Her heart was filled with uncertainty. From the looks of Jin Ji's actions, it was clear that he intended to control her. It was likely that he wanted to use her to threaten the Feng clan. If Xiao Yan had not intervened today, the consequences would have been extremely frightening. Unfortunately, now that Xiao Yan had left, there was no one else who could help her. At the same time, on the other side, Feng Luan was still unconscious in a carriage. However, his complexion had clearly improved. It seemed that he was not too far away from waking up. Beside Feng Luan, Alai was finally relieved about Feng Luan's injuries. However, he was constantly thinking about Xiao Yan. He was not a fool. From Xiao Yan's attack earlier, Alai could roughly guess that the person who forced back those magical beasts in the desert a few days ago was likely Xiao Yan. He could not be wrong. Thinking of this, the corner of Alai's mouth could not help but laugh at himself. He had originally thought that their convoy was so lucky this time to be able to repeatedly avoid the attacks of the magical beasts. However, he did not expect that their luck time and time again was actually thanks to Xiao Yan. If not for the latter's existence, even if their mercenary group was able to make it here, there would not be more than a handful of people left alive. Suddenly, Alai seemed to have thought of something. He remembered that before Xiao Yan left, he had stuffed a scroll into his hands. He had never opened it. Now that there was no one around and Feng Luan had not woken up, he could take a look at it. However, when Alai discovered that Xiao Yan had actually given him a middle spiritual level wood attribute cultivation method, the shock and excitement in his heart instantly erupted like a volcano. A spirit-level cultivation method was enough to change the course of his life, and Xiao Yan was the one who changed him. Alai hugged the emerald green scroll in his hands tightly. Xiao Yan's figure appeared in his mind, and he firmly engraved it in his heart. Shilin region on a mountain peak not too far away from Shahipu, a kind-looking old man in a hemp robe was sitting cross-legged. The old man formed a cultivation seal with his hands. As his aura fluctuated, the energy of the world seemed to have received an order and gathered towards the old man. With this slow cultivation, the old man's aura also rose at an extremely slow speed. Until a certain moment, the body of the old man, whose eyes were tightly shut, trembled slightly, and he stopped cultivating. His eyelids trembled slightly, and his tightly shut eyes opened, revealing a pair of sinister eyes. This person was the sect leader of the Withered Leaf sect, Yiluotian. Sensing that something was wrong, Yiluotian frowned and looked towards the west. He could vaguely sense that a person, or rather, a soul, was rushing towards him. Who is it? Doubt arose in Yiluotian's heart. From the other party's actions, it was extremely likely that he was coming for him. However, what could a mere soul fragment do? Looking for him to save his life? This strange thought appeared in Yiluotian's heart. In the entire western region, if a person with a soul fragment were to take the initiative to find him, it was likely that the person would only be begging him to save his life. After all, Yiluotian's reputation was extremely kind. However, as that person gradually approached, Yiluotian's gently knit eyebrows involuntarily. He could sense a trace of familiar aura from that soul fragment. Could it be that he knew him? Yiluotian frowned and gently shook his head. Logically speaking, this should not be the case. Most of the people he knew were powerful individuals, and they were all elite Do-Di. How could they end up in such a miserable state? However, this was the truth. As that soul fragment approached, Yiluotian suddenly realized that this soul fragment was actually that person from the ghost hall. What had happened to this fellow's body? Why had he become like this? Yiluotian's heart was greatly shocked when he sensed this. He still had some understanding of this fellow's strength in his heart. A middle-level 7-star Do-Di. With such strength, there were hardly anyone in the western region who could be a match for him. Yet, he had actually ended up in such a state. This was really difficult to imagine. A short while later, that person appeared in front of Yiluotian's eyes. The shock in Yiluotian's heart grew even denser when he saw that there was only a soul fragment left in front of him. His body was nearly transparent, and it was difficult to capture his figure. Didn't this fellow go to capture Xiao Yan? How did he end up in such a state? Could it be Xiao Yan? Yi Luotian thought in shock in his heart. At the same time, he pretended to be concerned and asked the person in front of him, "How did you end up in such a state?" "It's Xiao Yan. That lunatic. His strength is far above mine. I have underestimated him." Buzz! Yi Luotian's heart was like a large rock had been thrown into a calm lake when he heard the words of the person in front of him. Immediately, a storm rose. He said that all of this was done by Xiao Yan. How was this possible? How could a 5-star Do D beat a 7-star Do D into such a state? However, Yi Luotian's agitated heart gradually calmed down when he recalled everything that had happened in the Shilin mountain range that day. That's right. Even the 5-star Do D from the 4 great clans were no match for Xiao Yan. His strength had already far surpassed any opponent of the same level. If anyone dared to treat him as the same as a 5-star Do D, that person would be seeking death. Quick! Give me the spiritual essence in your storage ring. My physical body has been destroyed and my spiritual essence has been seriously injured. Now, I need the spiritual essence in your hands to repair it. Quick! The figure could not be bothered with anything else as he hurriedly ordered Yi Luotian. Yi Luotian was expressionless when he heard this. His gaze swept up and down the nearly transparent fellow in front of him. A trace of ridicule surged into his shady old eyes. As the saying goes, beat a drowning dog. Yi Luotian was not the least bit courteous. Yi Luotian recalled how imposing this fellow had been in front of him in the past. That arrogant and domineering demeanor of his was still fresh in Yi Luotian's mind. However, since the other party had ended up in such a state, Yi Luotian naturally did not want to save him. Bastard! What are you waiting for? Hurry up and give me the spiritual essence. Otherwise, once I report this to the higher-ups, your withered leaf sect can forget about dominating the western region. That figure roared in rage. Yi Luotian's expression changed slightly when he heard this. With a flip of his hand, a milky white ball of light about the size of a basketball appeared in his hand. He extended his hand forward and sent the ball of light to that figure. This was a ball of spiritual origin. Humph, that's more like it. The figure chuckled coldly. He extended his illusory hand and was about to receive the milky white light cluster. However, in the next instant, the spiritual essence in Yi Luotian's hand was suddenly sucked into his storage ring. At the same time, a terrifying suction force erupted from Yi Luotian's palm. In an instant, the figure's illusory body was sucked into his palm. You're about to die and you still dare to order me around. Do you really think that I'm afraid of you? Since you've delivered yourself to my doorstep, I'll borrow your strength to break through in one go. Yi Luotian coldly shouted. His hand suddenly clenched tightly as the illusory soul in his palm was sucked into his body and frantically refined. Chapter 841. One day later. After leaving Wu Yu City, Xiao Yan continued to head west. He slowly flew forward aimlessly. Since he had already made an agreement with the people from the 4 large sects to meet outside of the Tianju ancient tomb 1 year later, Xiao Yan was no longer in a hurry. Just like what Dong Chuan and the others had said, Xiao Yan was unable to open the Tianju ancient tomb with just the Tianju steps. Instead of wasting his energy, Xiao Yan felt that it was better to explore the vast Western Wastelands region. Although the Western Wastelands region was located in a desolate area, its prosperity was not inferior to the Shilin region. Due to the environment, the people here seemed to be even stronger than the people in the Shilin region. This point could be seen just by looking at Wu Yu City, which was located on the outskirts of the Western Wastelands region. Wu Yu City was merely an outer city, yet there was a 4-star Do D in the city. The Western Wastelands region was vast and boundless. It was difficult to imagine just how strong the strong people in the central region of the Western Wastelands region would be. According to Han Dong, the Alchemist Alliance existed within the Western Wastelands region. For such a large faction to choose a stronghold within the Western Wastelands region, one could imagine just how important the Western Wastelands region was to them. After traveling for an entire day, the vast desert in front of him caused Xiao Yan to feel somewhat helpless. At a glance, all he could see was a desolate land. There was not a single person within a 100-mile radius. Even the few tall mountains that he could see were barren. Sand and rocks rolled down, emitting clear colliding sounds that reverberated across the horizon. This region could be described as a place where birds could not fly in 1,000 mountains and no traces of humans could be found. The barrenness of the Western Wastelands region was likely much more serious than Xiao Yan had imagined. Although this was the case, Xiao Yan's heart was calm. Having spent most of his time outside, he had already gotten used to this kind of environment. Xiao Yan continued to head west until noon when a city appeared in the distance of his sight. However, Xiao Yan had no intention of stopping. He wanted to go to the place where the true powerhouses gathered. Only there would Xiao Yan be able to find a way to increase his strength. Xiao Yan did not stop. His body continued to fly high in the sky. His gaze looked down at the city below. Both of his eyes revealed an admiring expression. Although this city could not be compared with Wuyu City, it was still bustling in a manner that left one speechless. Moreover, Xiao Yan's spiritual strength probed and found that almost everyone in this city was a Ban Di. There were even 4 elite Do Di. Just as Xiao Yan was about to withdraw his spiritual power, he detected a strange aura. Xiao Yan frowned. His body, which was originally swiftly leaping forward, came to a halt. His body paused in the sky as his eyes looked down. There were 3 elite Do Di confronting each other at a certain spot within an enormous mansion in the city below. 2 groups of people stood opposite each other in the courtyard. Both parties were in a hostile position. They emitted quite a strong aura and pressure from each other as they stood in the sky above the courtyard. Their gazes were filled with ill intent as they looked at each other. Wang Xiang, it is best that you do not go overboard. Even if you have stepped into the 5-star Do Di class, we will still have to see if you have such a big appetite if you want to swallow the Fang clan. A middle-aged man wearing a brocade robe stood in front of a group of people with their backs facing the house in the courtyard. At this moment, his eyes were cold as he stared at a golden-robed old man who was the leader of the group. His tone was extremely low as he spoke. Cuckoo, nephew Fang Cheng, both our clans have existed together in this Healan city for many years. We can be considered family friends. Therefore, on account of this, the old me does not wish to attack you. The golden-robed old man smiled faintly when he heard Fang Cheng's words. After which, he changed his tone and continued speaking. However, you should also know that a mountain cannot accommodate 2 tigers. After all, 2 clans cannot exist in Healan City at the same time. Currently, my Wang clan has already shown signs of rising. Sooner or later, your Fang clan will no longer have a position in Healan City. On account of your father's face, the old me will give you 3 days. After 3 days, either your Fang clan moves or submit to my Wang clan and become a branch of my Wang clan. At that time, all of you can also remain in Healan City. Otherwise, do not blame my Wang clan for not considering our old relationship. The expression on the face of the brocade-robed old man gradually became denser. At the same time, following the change in his expression, a powerful aura spread out from his body and pressed toward the people from the Fang clan. Even with Fang Cheng's character, his expression could not help but change when he sensed the powerful aura and pressure of this brocade-robed old man. With the strength of a 3-star Do Di, there was really no comparison when faced with the aura and pressure of a 5-star Do Di. Just as the expressions of the people from the Fang clan changed, a green-clothed old man beside Fang Cheng suddenly let out a cold snort. At the same time, a thought passed through his mind and a powerful aura and pressure that belonged to a 4-star Do Di surged out from his body. It headed toward Wang Xiang's aura and pressure. Only by combining the aura and pressure of the people from the Fang clan behind him did he manage to block it. Where it is possible to make mistakes, one should be lenient. Wang Xiang, your Wang clan is currently the largest clan in Healan City. The Fang clan is far from being comparable to the Wang clan. Since this is the case, why do you need to be so overbearing? The green-clothed old man slowly took 2 steps forward. Due to the pressure of the other party's aura above his head, each step he took appeared extremely heavy. 2 shallow footprints were left on the flat ground under his feet. One could imagine just what kind of frightening aura and pressure this green-clothed old man was currently resisting. Even though this was the case, the expression on the face of the green-clothed old man appeared quite determined. No matter what, he would definitely not allow anything to happen to the people from the Fang clan, much less allow the Fang clan to be removed from Healan City. Yuan Qing, on account that you are a 4-star Do Di, I have already given you face a couple of times. You better not be ungrateful. This matter is between my Wang clan and the Fang clan. As an outsider, it is best that you do not meddle in other people's business. Otherwise, the old me will not care what faction you belong to. If you do not wish to invite trouble for yourself, It is best that you leave Healan City. The powerful aura and pressure once again soared after the words from the golden-robed old man's mouth sounded. In an instant, it forced the group of people on the other side to take a couple of steps back. Even Yuan Qing's old face involuntarily revealed a paleness at this moment. This Yuan Qing was the deacon of the Cloud Immortal sect, Yuan Qing, who had helped Xiao Yan when he had just arrived in the Yuanwu continent and had given the 9 transformation body art to Xiao Yan. Chapter 842. Brother Feng Cheng and I hit it off the moment we met. It is impossible for me to betray him for myself. Wang Xiang, if your Wang clan really wants to swallow the Feng clan, just come at me. With the 2 of us around, even if you can swallow us, we will definitely make you pay a bloody price. Yuan Qing let out a cold cry. His body, which had just been forced back, suddenly took a step forward. The dou qi in his body churned and swiftly surged out of his body. Relying on his own strength and the people behind him, he forcefully forced back Wang Xiang's aura. Wang Xiang involuntarily frowned when he heard Yuan Qing's words. The Feng clan had existed in Healan City for many years and had a deep foundation. How could his Wang clan not know about it? However, the relationship between the 2 clans had become increasingly bad during these years. Now, it had reached the stage where they could not tolerate each other. One of the Feng and Wang clans in Healan City was bound to decline. If it was not because of the person in front of him, it was likely that the Feng clan would have become a part of his Wang clan a couple of years ago. Although Yuan Qing had once again stepped forward to stop him, Wang Xiang was confident that he would be able to win since he had personally come to the Feng clan. 3 days. The old me will give you 3 more days. If you are still unwilling to leave Healan City after 3 days, don't blame the old me for not showing mercy. Wang Xiang let out a cold cry. After which, he turned around and led everyone from his clan as they swaggered toward the path they had come from. After the person in front of him left, Yuan Qing, who was in the courtyard, took a couple of steps back with a pale face. Only with the support of Feng Cheng did he stand up straight. Brother Yuan Qing, are you all right? Feng Cheng's face carried worry as he looked at Yuan Qing in front of him. His face revealed a deep apology. If it was not because of his Feng clan, Yuan Qing would not have ended up in such a state. I am fine. I was just intimidated by that fellow's aura. I will be fine after some rest. Yuan Qing bitterly smiled and shook his head when he heard this. His heart was incomparably anxious. His chances of victory against a 5-star Dou Di were still too low. Although Feng Cheng by his side was also a 3-star Dou Di, the current head of the Wang clan, Wang Zhenyu, was also a 3-star Dou Di. If the 2 clans were to be compared, the Wang clan was clearly stronger than the Feng clan. Once the 2 sides fought, the entire battle would tilt in favor of the Wang clan. As for the Feng clan, they would probably die in battle in Healan City. Sigh, 3 days, 3 days. Is the Wang clan so intolerant of our Feng clan? In the courtyard, the scorching sun was above Feng Cheng's head. The ardent sunlight sprinkled upon his face, yet it didn't allow him to feel the slightest bit of scorching heat. On the contrary, there was a stretch of gloomy coldness in his heart. Will Brother Feng Cheng leave Healan City? Yuan Qing panted slightly as he stared at Feng Cheng. There was a hint of reluctance in his eyes. Feng Cheng slowly shook his head. His tone was firm as he said in a deep voice. In a firm voice he said, Healan City is the foundation of the Feng clan. My ancestors worked hard here for hundreds of years. No matter what, the Feng clan's roots won't be broken here. Hearing this, Yuan Qing firmly nodded his head. His tone carried a hint of decisiveness as he said, That's right. Since that's the case, then let me accompany Brother Feng Cheng to guard this place. Even if we die, we must make the Wang clan regret their actions that day. At this point, Feng Cheng nodded his head heavily. His eyes stared at Yuan Qing in front of him, and just as he was about to speak, the expressions on their faces suddenly changed. Immediately after, the 2 of them suddenly raised their heads, and their gazes simultaneously looked towards the sky above. There, a figure was rapidly approaching them at an extremely fast speed. Enemy attack. In an instant, the 2 thought of this word at the same time. Immediately after, the 2 people's gazes rapidly met for an instant. Then, their figures suddenly flashed and swept into the sky. They circled and attacked the figure in a pincer attack. Palm of distraction. Wutong seal. The 2 of them, 1 palm and 1 seal, violently attacked the black-robed human figure whose face could not be clearly seen. The current situation of the Fong clan cannot withstand any blow. Today, regardless of who the other party is, they must not be allowed to behave atrociously in the Fong clan. Faced with the sudden attack of these two people, the face of the human figure under the black robe involuntarily revealed a surprised expression. Immediately, without any explanation, he rotated his wrists. Surging dough chi spluttered out from his palms. With a palm on his left and right, he forcefully received the attacks of the two people in front of him. Bang! Following a low and deep thump sound, the dough chi that Yuan Qing and Fong Cheng had displayed appeared to have struck soft cotton. It deeply sunk in, but did not bring about the slightest unusual ripple. What? Sensing that their dough chi had been so easily resolved by the person in front of them, a storm was lifted in their hearts. To be able to so easily resolve the dough chi of two elite dough di, the strength of this person was likely at least that of a 5-star dough di. This person was actually another elite 5-star dough di. Fong Cheng's heart suddenly sunk when he thought of this. Could it be that the heavens wanted their Fong clan to be destroyed? The one who had the same feeling as Fong Cheng was naturally Yuan Qing. He did not expect that the person who had come would actually be a 5-star dough di. Once this person joined hands with the Wang clan, they would not even have the opportunity to resist. However, just as the hearts of the two of them were feeling shocked, a young face under the black robe revealed a helpless bitter smile. Xiao Yan also did not expect that he would actually meet Yuan Qing in this place. The thing that had just caused him to be shocked was that the latter's strength had actually reached the level of a 4-star dough di. It was even similar to him, who had relied on the heavenly flame to raise his current cultivation. It should be known that Yuan Qing back then was merely a 3-star ban di. Of course, now was not the time to reminisce about the past. He needed to first resolve these two people who had misunderstood him. Soon after, Xiao Yan's hand relaxed when the two people around him recovered. After which, he suddenly grabbed the wrists of the two people. Immediately, a frightening force poured out. Both of his hands were waved in unison, sending the two of them back to the courtyard below. Taking advantage of the shock in the hearts of the two of them, Xiao Yan instantly used the sky extinction steps and arrived in front of Yuan Qing. At the same time, a somewhat mocking laughter was emitted. Cuckoo, old brother Yuan Qing, it has been many years since we last met. You can't possibly go so far as to welcome me the moment we meet, right? The two people in front of him swiftly recovered after Xiao Yan's faint laughter sounded. Fong Cheng's heart was greatly shocked. The dough chi within his body wildly surged out. His gaze was grave as he stared at Xiao Yan. On the other hand, Yuan Qing by the side was startled the moment Xiao Yan's words sounded. He raised his gaze and a pair of wise eyes instantly paused on Xiao Yan's body. When he saw the handsome and familiar face of the latter, his entire person instantly became like a statue and stood still on the spot. The expression on his old face also stiffened. It was a long while later when Fong Cheng by the side was preparing to join forces with the members of the clan to launch an attack on Xiao Yan. Only then did the expression on Yuan Qing's old face transform into an excited one. His body involuntarily trembled and his face revealed a wild joy. He took a large step forward in front of the stunned gazes of everyone behind him. He cupped his hands together and bowed to Xiao Yan. Mr. Xiao Yan, it has been a long time since we last met. Chapter 843. After forcing back the 5-star dough di with one palm, Xiao Yan was expressionless. His eyes were cold and indifferent as he once again looked at Su Songming. The dough chi within his body was swiftly circulated. Sensing this, the muscles on the old face of the 5-star dough di, who was called Yuan Shi, involuntarily twitched intensely. His body moved and he hurriedly blocked in front of Su Songming. At the same time that his face revealed a grave expression, he hurriedly asked Su Songming, "Grandmaster Su, who exactly is this brat? Why are you so afraid of him?" He is a demon. This fellow is a demon." Hearing Yuan Shi's words, the fear in Su Songming's heart grew even greater. His hands held his distorted face as his body trembled and he let out a low roar. His feet involuntarily stepped back. Hearing this, Yuan Shi involuntarily frowned. Although the cultivation of the person in front of him was a little stronger than his, it was not to the extent of scaring Su Songming to this extent. With his own strength, he might not be a match for him. However, if Wang Xiang were to join forces, Xiao Yan might not be a match for the two 5-star dough di. Relying on his own strength to contend against two opponents of the same level. This kind of battle result was something that they had never seen before since they had started out. Grandmaster Su, there is no need to be nervous. With the old me around, I will definitely not let you get hurt. As for this brat, you can rest assured that I will deal with him. Yuan Shi comforted. After which, he turned his gaze to Wang Xiang. At this moment, the latter was also looking at him. In their hearts, they both understood the strength of this black-robed young man in front of them. They also clearly understood that the best way to deal with Xiao Yan was for the two of them to join forces and attack together to suppress the latter. As for the Fang clan, even if Wang Xiang did not personally intervene, it would be extremely easy to deal with them. Currently, the only trouble in front of them was Xiao Yan. Wang Xiang, the two of us will join forces and break his spirit. I have the same intention. Wang Xiang nodded heavily. His body flashed and he arrived beside Yuan Shi. His eyes were like torches as he stared at Xiao Yan opposite him. Although I do not know who you are, since you insist on interfering in this matter, don't blame the two of us for being merciless today. Wang Xiang let out a cold cry. With the addition of a 5-star Do Di beside him, the pressure in his heart was greatly reduced. Even if the fighting strength of the person in front of him was extraordinary, he was only a 5-star Do Di. It was impossible for him to fight against two 5-star Do Di of the same level. You two idiots. You know nothing about his strength. Su Songming's face was filled with fear. Unable to contain himself, he anxiously cursed in his heart. He naturally knew that Yuan Shi was only doing this because he wanted to show off before him. His goal was merely to obtain the medicinal pellets in his hands. Likely, if not for this, it would be impossible for Yuan Shi to willingly protect him, an 8-star half-martial emperor. From the moment he saw Xiao Yan for the first time, Su Songming clearly knew that the Wang clan's dream of swallowing up the Fang clan had come to an end. Xiao Yan was just like a nightmare. He mercilessly shattered the dreams of those who stood opposite him, which appeared to be easily realized. After meeting Xiao Yan twice, Su Songming's heart could be said to be trying to avoid the latter. Originally, he thought that Xiao Yan had already been surrounded by the two large clans. Who could have imagined that the result would not only be contrary to his expectations, but it would also shock him. At this moment, the only thought in Su Songming's heart was, escape. Escape from this place. Escape from everything that had anything to do with Xiao Yan. As long as the latter existed, this so-called rank 3 alchemist was destined to be unable to lift his head. At this moment, the actions of these two people had created quite a good opportunity for Su Songming. He could take advantage of the time when these two people were entangled with Xiao Yan to leave this place. Su Songming was not concerned about the life and death of these two people. Every man for himself, and the heavens take the hindmost. On the other side, Xiao Yan was expressionless in the face of Wang Xiang's shout. If this Fang clan had nothing to do with him, Xiao Yan naturally would not have bothered to involve himself in this matter. However, as luck would have it, with Yuan Qing's appearance, Xiao Yan was destined to act on behalf of the Fang clan. Even though Xiao Yan and Yuan Qing could not be considered to be close, the 9 transformation body mantra that Yuan Qing had given him had helped Xiao Yan more than once. Many times, Xiao Yan could not help but think of its original owner and feel grateful from the bottom of his heart. Now, Yuan Qing was willing to give up everything he had for the Fang clan. He was even willing to put his life on the line. This kind of heroic spirit moved Xiao Yan. Of course, other than this, Yuan Qing was also a deacon of the Cloud Immortal sect. This relationship was also one of the reasons why Xiao Yan acted. No matter what, it was impossible for everyone present to return alive today. Xiao Yan's gaze swept over the two people in front of him. Soon after, his gaze landed on the few elite Do Di in the Wang clan's group behind him. Jin Gu, Wang Zhenyu, the Su brothers. Adding the two people in front of him, the Wang clan side had a total of 6 elite Do Di. This lineup was actually 2 more than what Feng Cheng had expected. If Xiao Yan was not present today, it was likely that these people from the Feng clan would have been killed by the Wang clan in an instant. All of you, attack together. I don't have so much time to waste with all of you. A pair of dark black eyes once again returned to the two people in front of him. Xiao Yan's tone was especially calm as he spoke. You. Since you don't know what's good for you, let's attack together. Wang Xiang's expression turned cold. He did not expect that Xiao Yan would actually say such shameless words. Immediately, he exchanged glances with Yuan Shi beside him. The two of them nodded heavily. Their bodies leaned forward as they prepared to attack. Wait! It was also at this moment that Xiao Yan frowned. His face revealed an impatient expression as he cried out in a deep voice to stop the actions of the two people in front of him. Hearing this, Wang Xiang and Yuan Shi involuntarily frowned. What was Xiao Yan planning this time? You may have misunderstood. When I say attack together, I mean that the both of you, including the few Dodi behind you, will attack together. Let's end this quickly. I don't have the time to fight one by one. What? When these words of Xiao Yan were spoken, everyone from the Wang clan was immediately startled. Their expressions changed one after another, especially the few elite Dodi in front. Their hearts were incomparably shocked. They nearly thought that they had heard wrongly. Xiao Yan actually wanted to deal with 6 elite Dodi from the Wang clan alone? How was that possible? However, just as everyone from the Wang clan was feeling shocked, the expression of Xiao Yan, who was standing in the empty air, suddenly changed. Almost at the same time, the footwork of his feet suddenly changed. He instantly used the sky extinction steps. Soon after, Xiao Yan's body had already appeared in front of Wang Xiang. Xiao Yan clenched his hand into a fist. A powerful force swiftly agglomerated in his palm. Wherever the wind from the fist passed, it emitted a hoo-hoo sound of rushing wind as it heavily smashed toward Wang Xiang's chest. Damn it! What a frightening speed! Wang Xiang's heart was greatly alarmed. At the same time that his expression changed, he also hurriedly attacked. His fist violently collided with Xiao Yan's incoming fist. Just as Xiao Yan and Wang Xiang were about to collide, everyone's gazes were focused on the two of them. At this moment, Su Songming was trying his best to hide his aura as he withdrew to the back of the group. Chapter 844. In the hall, Feng Cheng and Yuan Qing looked at Xiao Yan with astonished expressions. Their gazes swept back and forth between Xiao Yan and Feng Ruyan. The two immediately understood in their hearts that the expert Feng Ruyan spoke of was the Xiao Yan in front of them. It had to be said that the word, fate, was truly hard to understand. A day ago, Xiao Yan had inadvertently saved Feng Ruyan. Who would have thought that he would meet Yuan Qing the next day? Most importantly, there was actually a subtle connection between the two of them. Why are you in my house? Feng Ruyan's pretty face also revealed an astonished expression. She also did not expect that Xiao Yan, who had directly rejected her invitation the day before, would actually take the initiative to appear in her house the next day. This was simply too comical. Cough cough, that's a long story. Coughing dryly, Xiao Yan helplessly shrugged his shoulders and said. On the side, Feng Cheng and Yuan Qing looked at each other. The two of them could not help but burst into laughter. Soon after, Feng Cheng hurriedly bowed to Xiao Yan and said with a sincere tone, I'm Feng Cheng. Thank you, Mr. Xiao Yan, for saving my daughter Ruyan. Even Yuan Qing, who was on the side, also cupped his hands to Xiao Yan once again. He and Feng Cheng were bosom buddies. He also treated Feng Ruyan as his own. The matters of the Feng family had long been regarded as his own matters. Since Xiao Yan had saved Feng Ruyan, it was equivalent to giving him a great favor once again. You two are too polite. My actions yesterday were only in passing. Moreover, brother Yuan Qing and I are old acquaintances and friends. You two keep doing this to me, which makes me feel somewhat distant. Haha, since Mr. Xiao Yan has said so, then we won't be polite. Haha. Ha ha ha. Feng Cheng laughed out loud. Xiao Yan also laughed out loud with the other two. Immediately, the three of them gradually withdrew their smiles. The expressions on their faces once again recovered a solemn expression. Feng Cheng's gaze looked toward Xiao Yan and said, Brother Xiao Yan, 3 days later, our Feng family and the Wang family will completely break off relations. At that time, there will definitely be a bloody battle. The previous head of the Wang family, Wang Xiang, has already stepped into the realm of a 5-star Dodi. His strength is no small matter. Therefore, I hope that we can invite you to help our Feng family get through this difficult time. When these words were spoken, Yuan Qing by the side also nodded his head. He faced Xiao and said, Brother Xiao Yan, we know that you are also a 5-star Dodi. However, the battle 3 days later will not be ordinary. I also hope that we can invite you to help us. Of course, we don't necessarily need you to kill Wang Xiang. As long as you can help us delay him, we will come and help you once we have finished off the other members of the Wang family. That's right. Although that Jin Ge's strength is not weak, he is extremely cowardly. He is a classic example of someone who eats the soft but fears the strong. As long as Mr. Xiao Yan helps us at that time and pushes him back, the Wang family will be easy for us to capture. The two of them echoed each other as they spoke. The way they addressed Xiao Yan immediately pulled the distance between them and him closer. After these words fell, Xiao Yan did not have any reason to reject them. However, they did not seem to have much confidence in Xiao Yan's strength. They only wanted Xiao Yan to do his best to delay Wang Xiang. However, they did not think that Xiao Yan had the ability to defeat Wang Xiang. Of course, if two strong people of the same level were placed together, there might not be any difference between them if they were of the same age. However, if there was a difference in age, there would be a difference in their fighting strength. Perhaps it was because Wang Xiang was older. As the saying goes, the older the ginger, the spicier it was. Therefore, the two people in front of him believed that in a real battle, Wang Xiang might be stronger than Xiao Yan. This was why they wanted the latter to do his best to delay him and not defeat him. However, this person had clearly underestimated Xiao Yan's strength. Even a 7-star Dodi had nearly died in his hands. How big of a wave could a 5-star Dodi cause? Xiao Yan smiled in a non-committal manner in response to this. When Feng Ruyan saw the smile on the latter's face, a feeling of doubt suddenly surged into the young lady's heart. For some reason, she felt that Xiao Yan's chances of victory might be higher when faced with Wang Xiang. The young lady's heart was also stunned by the thought that suddenly rose from the bottom of her heart. As she thought about it, a bright red color involuntarily surfaced on her pretty face. Taking advantage of the fact that the three people in front of her were still happily chatting, she hurriedly left the hall. Night. The stars in the sky were bright. The bright silver moon was like a silver plate that emitted a bright light in the night sky. The moonlight was like snowflakes that spread over the land, illuminating the city below as if it was daytime. Helan City, within the Wang clan. The clan head, Wang Zhenyu, and his father, who was the previous clan head, Wang Xiang, were standing in the meeting hall. A cold smile appeared on the gloomy old face of the golden-robed elder. He was looking forward to the final battle with the Feng clan in 3 days. Based on his understanding of the Feng clan would rather die than leave Helan City. Therefore, he had already prepared for the final battle with them in 3 days' time. This battle would determine who would be the overlord of Helan City in the future. Who would rule this city? And his Wang clan would definitely become the overlord of this city. The Feng clan would also definitely become history. Father, according to the time, that lord should arrive on the morning of the 3rd day. Behind Wang Xiang, Wang Zhenyu's tone was respectful as he spoke. Although Wang Zhenyu was now the clan head of the clan, the actual power was in the hands of his father in front of him. Every action of the clan was decided by him. Humph. All right. That lord's time is limited. It's best to settle this matter as soon as possible. Just in case, call Jin Gu over as well. Wang Xiang appeared to have a card up his sleeve. It was as though he had already seen the end of the Feng clan. Hearing this, Wang Zhenyu involuntarily frowned. After hesitating for a moment, he said with some hesitation, "Father, didn't that lord say that he would bring a 5-star Dodi? If he were to act, why would we need Jin Gu to come over? He would only come to pick up money." "What do you know?" Wang Xiang reprimanded and coldly snorted. Although Jin Gu is greedy for money, he is not a fool. As long as he sees that we can invite that lord in a 5-star Dodi, he will know the foundation of our Wang clan. With this matter as a deterrent, let's see if he dares to play any tricks with us in the future. Hearing these words, Wang Zhenyu panicked. Only then did he repeatedly flatter and agree. Immediately, Wang Xiang gave a few more instructions. Only after he confirmed that everything was correct did he leave the hall with a smile on his face. After that, Wang Zhenyu's face became gloomy. He cursed in his heart and quickly left the hall. Chapter 845. Time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, the 3rd day of the Wang clan's expectations finally arrived amidst the tense atmosphere in Helan City. Early in the morning, the gauze-like morning light spread over the land. However, Helan City was already extremely lively. Within a short 3 days, quite a number of experts had gathered here. Other than the original population of the city, there were even quite a number of elite Dodi who had gathered. This group of people came for the decisive battle between the Feng clan and the Wang clan today. As for this news, It was naturally spread by the Wong clan themselves. Their goal was to let more people see how powerful the Wong clan was. This way, they could intimidate everyone and stabilize the clan. From a certain perspective, it could also bring certain benefits to the Wong clan. The Wong clan's plan was not only aimed at the Fong clan. It also included Wuyu City and many of the surrounding cities. On the surface, it appeared to be a declaration of war against the Fong clan. However, it was actually a warning to these factions. Old Master Wang Xiang and clan head Wang Zhenyu stood in front of the main door of the Wang clan mansion. Behind them was a group of strong people from the Wang clan. Just the number of high-class half-emperors numbered over 10. There were even 2 one-star Do Di. Looking at their clothes, they did not appear to be members of the Wang clan. It seemed that they were invited by the Wang clan. Other than clan head Wang Zhenyu and Old Master Wang Xiang, there was also a middle-aged man wearing a brocade robe. This person was Jin Gu, whom Xiao Yan had met in Wuyu City a few days ago. 5 elite Do Di and over 10 high-class half-emperors. This kind of lineup was sufficient to suppress the Fong clan a few days ago. Of course, this was only a few days ago. Haha, it is unexpected that Old Master Wang has actually invited the Su brothers. Looks like Old Master Wang is determined to win the battle with the Fong clan today. Jin Gu narrowed his eyes. His gaze glanced at the 2 one-star Do Di standing behind him. His face was all smiles as he looked at Wang Xiang in front of him and spoke with a fake smile. Haha, 3 days ago, the old me told them to get lost from Helan City. However, that was merely the old me trying to stall for time. The old me knows that the Fong clan will definitely not leave Helan City even if they die. Therefore, during these 3 days, the old me has also invited a great person other than the Su brothers. A smile was lifted on Wang Xiang's face. His gaze focused on the western sky. If he was right, that person should have arrived. Oh! Hearing Wang Xiang's words, Jin Gu couldn't help but raise his eyebrows slightly. For Wang Xiang to call this person Lord, this person's background was probably not ordinary. Just as Jin Gu was feeling puzzled, 2 auras came faintly from the sky to the west of Helan City. This is... Sensing the 2 auras, Jin Gu immediately frowned, and a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. The owner of one of the 2 auras was merely an 8-star Ban Di. The other person's aura was so strong that it was not inferior to even Wang Xiang by his side. It was not difficult to guess that the second person was surprisingly another 5-star Do Di. Hiss! Jin Gu involuntarily inhaled a breath of cool air when he sensed this. Another 5-star Do Di. In this way, just the Wang clan side alone had 2 5-star Do Di. This kind of lineup was quite strong even when placed in the western region. It was difficult to imagine that Wang Xiang had actually set up such a lineup for the Fong clan. Of course, in comparison, Wang Xiang was naturally aware in his heart that although that 5-star Do Di would follow them, the chances of him intervening were almost negligible. The other party's aim was only to protect that 8-star Ban Di. It could be said that it had nothing to do with their Wang clan. Old man, this is the first time this junior has seen something like this. Jin Gu involuntarily exclaimed from the bottom of his heart. This caused the smile on Wang Xiang's old face to become even denser. This was the result he wanted. He wanted to let everyone in the city understand that their Wang clan was able to invite a 5-star Do Di. This was enough to awe everyone. As expected, the large city swiftly became noisy the moment the 2 auras appeared within the territory of Helan City. Numerous discussions that were filled with surprise reverberated in the sky above the city. Everyone's hearts were filled with surprise. Finally, the 2 human figures rushed over the sky above Helan City in front of a countless number of gazes. After which, they landed at the location of the Wang clan. At the same time, within the meeting hall of the Fong clan's mansion, the faces of the current clan head, Fong Cheng, Yuan Qing, and the elders of the clan revealed an extremely shocked expression. At the same time, a deep horror wildly surged out from the bottom of their hearts. What happened? 2 more people have come. Moreover, one of them is actually a 5-star Do Di. Doesn't this mean that the Wang clan now has 2 5-star Do Di? In that case, won't today's big battle? Everyone in the hall widened their eyes. Their hearts were filled with shock and fear. No matter what, they did not expect that the Wang clan would be able to invite such a person. A 5-star Do Di had already caused them to feel great pressure. Now that another one had come, it was enough for the Wang clan to completely crush them. Clan head, what should we do now? There is no way out. All we need to do is wait for the people from the Wang clan to come and kill us. Then, our Feng clan will be finished. If there is really no other choice, let's move the entire clan. Healan City is indeed our foundation, but we cannot destroy our entire clan because of this. Clan head, if there is really no other choice, we should let the younger generation of the clan think of a way to leave Healan City. It is fine if us old fellows die, but they are after all the hope of our Feng clan. We must not let anything happen to them. The addition of another 5-star Do Di to the Wang clan could be said to be a destructive blow to the Feng clan. In an instant, the thread of hope that had just risen in the Feng clan because of Xiao Yan's appearance was shattered just like that. They did not think that just relying on Xiao Yan, a 5-star Do Di, would be able to help their Feng clan escape this calamity. Therefore, no matter what happened to them, the most important thing now was to think of a way to allow the younger generation of the clan to continue living. Hearing the heavy words of the few clan elders, Feng Cheng, who was the clan head, also had a gloomy expression. His heart was close to despair. Could it be that they could only flee Healan City like a stray dog? But what could they do? If they continued to delay like this, it was likely that they would not even have their last chance. Feng Cheng sighed deeply. Even though he was unwilling in his heart, the clan was the most important thing. He could not just hand over the entire clan because of some emotions. Don't tell me that the Feng clan will be destroyed by my hands just like this. Feng Cheng involuntarily felt sorrow from within his heart when he thought of this. However, just as he was about to stand up and announce something, Xiao Yan, who was wearing a black robe, slowly stepped into the hall with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Clan head Feng, you can be rest assured. I will personally take care of those few elite Do Di from the Wang clan. You all only need to finish off those elite Do Di. The calm voice did not contain the slightest ripple. However, when these words entered the ears of everyone present, it immediately stirred up a storm in their hearts. Numerous gazes landed on Xiao Yan's body in unison. Their eyes were filled with shock and doubt. Chapter 846. Mr. Xiao Yan, we also know that you are a 5-star Do Di. However, this matter concerns the life and death of our Feng clan. We cannot allow Mr. Xiao Yan to joke about it. Hearing Xiao Yan's extremely arrogant words, the few clan elders in the hall involuntarily frowned. They exchanged glances with each other and immediately looked at Xiao Yan with somewhat gloomy expressions as they spoke in a deep voice. Although the person in front of them was indeed a 5-star Do Di, he was still young. How strong could he be? It was likely that he would find it extremely strenuous to face Wang Xiang alone. Now, he actually dared to say such arrogant words. Wasn't he overestimating himself? First Elder, Mr. Xiao Yan is the current sinecure of our Feng clan. As the first elder, don't tell me that you can't even distinguish his status? Although Feng Cheng did not dare to easily believe Xiao Yan's words, Xiao Yan had already agreed to become the sinecure of their Feng clan a day ago. Moreover, he had promised that he would fight for the Feng clan. Whether it was due to emotion or reason, the words of their first elder were a little overboard. Feng Cheng's words caused the first elder's expression to immediately change. Only then did he hurriedly stand up and cup his hands together in apology to Xiao Yan, who had already walked to the middle of the hall. Seeing this, the latter waved his hand in an unconcerned manner. This could not be blamed on them. After all, the rules of the Yuanwu continent were like this. Normally speaking, a 5-star Do Di would definitely not be able to fight two 5-star Do Di at the same time without being defeated. These elders of the Feng clan were merely using common sense to make inferences. However, how could Xiao Yan's strength be deduced using common sense? May I know what Mr. Xiao Yan said earlier? After hesitating for a moment, Feng Cheng probed and asked. Feng clan head, you can be rest assured. When the time comes, you can leave those few Do Di experts of the Wang clan to me. You only need to worry about dealing with the other people of the Feng clan. Xiao Yan smiled. A confident smile was lifted on his face. This scene was seen by Feng Cheng and Yuan Qing, causing the two of them to involuntarily raise their eyebrows. They felt even more suspicious in their hearts. Could it be that Xiao Yan really had that kind of strength? May I know how confident Mr. Xiao Yan is? 100%. This time around, the last word had just been spat out from Feng Cheng's mouth when Xiao Yan calmly replied with a smile. Hiss. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the hall couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Their faces also revealed an expression of disbelief. From what they currently knew of the Wong clan, the other party had 4 elite Do-D. 2 of them were 5-star Do-D, 1 was a 4-star Do-D, and 1 was a 3-star Do-D. This kind of lineup already possessed an advantage just in terms of the number of elite Do-D. Logically speaking, the Fong clan had no chance of victory. In that case, Fong Cheng will completely depend on Mr. Xiao Yan. After musing for a moment, Fong Cheng finally clenched his teeth and solemnly opened his mouth. Currently, the Fong clan situation was on the brink of crisis. It was already too late for them to make more plans in many aspects. Right now, they could only stake everything on a single throw. Perhaps they still had a sliver of hope. This could be said to be a huge gamble, and the wager was their entire clan. Success or failure concerned the fate of their Fong clan. Xiao Yan smiled and nodded when he heard this. His gaze swept over everyone present. Immediately, he turned around and walked out of the hall. The corner of his mouth was lifted, revealing a playful smile. He lifted his gaze and looked in the direction of the Wong clan. He did not expect that he would actually meet that fellow once again in Helan City. He had let him off the last 2 times. This time around, however, Xiao Yan would no longer have such a magnanimous heart. Seeing Xiao Yan leave, the few elders of the Fong clan in the hall finally turned their gazes toward Fong Cheng, who was seated in the leader's seat. Clan leader, are you really going to place all your hopes on him? Mr. Xiao Yan is indeed a 5-star Do-D. However, this matter concerns the survival of our Fong clan. We cannot easily believe the words of an outsider, right? Feng Shang, who are you calling an outsider? Yuan Qing beside Feng Cheng frowned and cried out in a deep voice when the first elder's words were uttered. Sir Yuan Qing, please don't misunderstand. It is not that we don't believe you. However, this Xiao Yan. Enough! Before the first elder could finish speaking, Feng Cheng's face was filled with anger as he heavily slapped the armrest. His body stood up and he cried out in a low voice. Feng Shang, you better remember that Mr. Xiao Yan is currently a consecrator of our Feng clan. His strength is sufficient for us to believe every word he says. If you really think that Mr. Xiao Yan is unable to defeat 2 5-star Do-D, why don't you go? I. Feng Shang was greatly shocked. How could he be a match for a 5-star Do-D with his cultivation of a 9-star half-emperor? Humph, you don't even have that ability yet you are vainly trying to doubt others. Feng Shang, you need to understand that it is not Mr. Xiao Yan who is begging to help us. Instead, we are the ones begging him. If he is unwilling, he can turn around and leave. If you still dare to be disrespectful to Mr. Xiao Yan, don't blame me for removing your position as the first elder. Feng Shang knows his mistake. Feng Shang was after all the head of a clan. His words were awe-inspiring, causing everyone in the hall to tremble in fear. After Feng Shang heard Feng Shang's words, he immediately understood and hurriedly apologized to Feng Cheng. Humph, the one you should apologize to is not me but Mr. Xiao Yan. With this admonishment, Feng Shang's standing body was unable to sit down again. Dozens of powerful auras immediately appeared in the sky above the Feng clan's mansion. The powerful auras and pressure were like meteorites descending from Mount Tai, pressuring everyone in the Feng clan. The entire Feng clan was on full alert at this moment. Everyone tensed their bodies. The Do-Chi in their bodies crazily surged out of their bodies. They used the strength of the entire clan to resist the aura and pressure in the sky. Ha ha ha, Feng Cheng, the 3-day deadline is up. Since your Feng clan is still unwilling to leave Helan City, do you plan to merge with my Wong clan and become a branch of my Wong clan? Wang Xiang's loud laughter that was filled with ridicule spread across the sky like thunder. The upper echelon of the Feng clan hurriedly walked out of the meeting hall. They raised their heads and looked at the group of people in the sky. This was especially the case when Feng Shang's gaze once again saw the few people around Wang Xiang. The expression on his face immediately became incomparably solemn. It seemed that the situation was much more troublesome than he had imagined. Other than these 4 elite Do-D, there were 2 other 1-star Do-D behind Wang Xiang. The thing that caused Feng Shang and Yuan Qing to feel the most astonished was that the person standing beside Wang Xiang was not the 5-star Do-D. Instead, it was the 8-star Do-D who had come with him. As for that person, he was standing beside Wang Xiang. The 2 of them stood on the left and right. Clearly, they treated this 8-star Do-D as the center. The identity of this 8-star Do-D was likely not ordinary. Che, he is merely a small 4-star Do-D. Wang Xiang, you actually invited me over. Don't tell me that you are afraid of them with your strength? At this moment, the 8-star Dodi beside Wang Xiang had also probed the cultivation of everyone in the courtyard below. After discovering that the strongest person was merely a 4-star Dodi, Yuan Qing, his shady old face involuntarily revealed a mocking smile. Cuckoo, Sir Su, I am only doing this as a precaution. The Fong clan has been in Helan City for so many years and has always been a thorn in our Wang clan's heart. Now that we can finally resolve it, how would I dare to be careless? The reason why I have troubled you is because I hope that I can borrow your reputation to intimidate them and get them to take the initiative to give up resisting and join our Wang clan. This is naturally the best. Humph humph. You have invited me just to intimidate the Fong clan? I'm afraid that it is far from just this. Hearing this, the embroidered-robed old man, who was addressed as Sir Su, laughed mockingly. His gaze swept over Jean Gu behind him. After which, it swept over those elite Dodi in the empty space within the city. His heart had roughly guessed Wang Xiang's plan. Ugh. Cuckoo, we have a tacit understanding. Good, what a good tacit understanding. However, seeing that you have taken out something, I will help you this once. Sir Su coldly laughed. Wang Xiang curled his lips repeatedly in his heart. If the person in front of him was not seeking benefits, why would he help them? This kind of person relied on his little ability to gather wealth from all over the place. Blinded by greed, he would sooner or later die from his greed. While these few people in the sky were conversing with each other, the black-robed Xiao Yan in the Fong clan's mansion below was coldly smiling as he looked at the 2 5-star Dodi in the sky and Sir Su, who were hugging each other. This Sir Su, that Wang Xiang had mentioned, was actually the new rank 3 alchemist from the Alchemist Alliance who had been defeated by Xiao Yan twice, Su Songming. Chapter 847. High in the sky above Helan City, the two groups of people stood opposite each other. The atmosphere between the sky and the ground appeared especially heavy, especially for the members of the Fong clan. They saw that the other side was approaching in a ferocious manner. The number of experts they had was over 10 times more than their Fong clan. Their number of elite Dodi could be said to be overwhelming. From the looks of it, the Fong clan would undoubtedly be defeated in today's battle. Ugh, how unfortunate. The Fong clan has stood in Helan City for so many years. It is unexpected that they are unable to escape the fate of being swallowed up by the Wang clan. Isn't that so? Ever since the ancestor of the Wang clan broke through to the 5-star Dodi class, the Wang clan has been recruiting experts from all over the place. Their goal is for today. This time around, the Fong clan can only lower their heads. Seeing this scene in the sky, the people in the city below could not help but sigh. Their words were filled with desolation. After all, the Wang clan had come in a ferocious manner and was not something that the Fong clan could compare with. No matter how one looked at it, the Fong clan today would have difficulty escaping this calamity. High in the sky, Feng Cheng's face was solemn as he faced Wang Xiang's group. Perspiration repeatedly dripped from his forehead. Even his hand under his sleeves could not help but tremble slightly. This indicated the seriousness in his heart at this moment. However, at this moment, the thing that caused Feng Cheng to feel even more worried in his heart was that the Fong clan's final support, Xiao Yan, had yet to show himself even until now. Could it be that he had fled before the battle? The few elders who were on holiday could not help but think of this in their hearts. At the same time, the fear in their hearts grew. If this was the case, would it not mean that Xiao Yan had openly sold them out? In this way, not only would the Fong clan not be rescued, it was likely that not a single person would be able to survive. This Xiao Yan. Immediately, everyone from the Fong clan involuntarily cursed in their hearts. Only Feng Cheng and Yuan Qing, who were at the front of the group, were anxiously waiting for Xiao Yan to appear. They believed that Xiao Yan was definitely not the kind of person who would flee in the face of a battle. Since he dared to say those words, he would definitely be responsible for their Fong clan until the end. As expected. Just as the members of the Fong clan were furiously cursing Xiao Yan in their hearts, the space in front of Feng Cheng suddenly distorted. Immediately after, the black-robed Xiao Yan slowly appeared. Facing the members of the Fong clan, the corners of his mouth curled into a soft smile. His gaze slowly swept over everyone in front of him. Those who made contact with his gaze could not help but shrink their necks as an embarrassed expression appeared on their faces. At this moment, the faces of everyone from the Wang clan behind Xiao Yan involuntarily revealed a doubtful expression when they saw this black-robed person who had suddenly appeared. This was especially the case for the few elite Do-Di in front and Su Songming, who was a rank 3 alchemist. When they looked at this black-robed person in front of them, their eyes involuntarily revealed a grave expression. By being able to use such a strange agility to appear in front of them, this already proved that this black-robed person in front of them was clearly also an elite Do-Di. Moreover, from the looks of it, this person was clearly not here to help them. Since this was the case, this black-robed person should be a member of the Fong clan. May I know who you are? The matter today is a matter between the Wang clan and the Fong clan of our Healan city. I hope that you will not intervene. Wang Xiang revealed a solemn expression as he looked at the black-robed person in front of him. He politely cupped his hands together and spoke in a deep voice. Although he was a 5-star Do-Di, the body of the person in front of him seemed to be covered by a layer of something. His perception was unable to approach this black-robed person even a little, much less probe his strength. Faced with such a person, even Wang Xiang was unwilling to easily offend him. It would undoubtedly be best if he could persuade him to withdraw. However, this black-robed person acted as though he did not hear Wang Xiang's words. He did not even turn his body, which had his back facing them, even a little. This involuntarily caused Wang Xiang's heart to be quietly furious. He was a 5-star Do-Di. When had he ever been ignored in this manner? Beside him, Su Songming knit his brows tightly. A pair of dark old eyes stared intently at the back of the black-robed person in front of him. This person's back gave him a feeling of déjà vu. At the same time, there was a faint uneasiness rising from the bottom of his heart. Just who was this person? Su Songming's heart was filled with doubt. As the doubts in his heart churned, his emotions also became anxious. Even the breathing from his nose had become a little hurried. Finally, just as Su Songming's eyes were staring intently at Xiao Yan, the latter appeared to have sensed something. The corner of his mouth was lifted into a smile. Immediately, he slowly turned around in front of the solemn gazes of the members of the Wang clan behind him, revealing a handsome face under the black robe. Under the sunlight, Xiao Yan pulled down the black robe that covered his head and welcomed the baptism of the sunlight. At the same time, a pair of deep black eyes, which were like a serene pool, looked at Su Songming. The smile on his face gradually became mocking. Grandmaster Su, we have not seen each other for many years since we parted at Xian City. I trust that you have been well since we last met. Bas. The instant Xiao Yan's words left his mouth, Su Songming's body suddenly shook. It was as if he had been struck by lightning. The shock and fear in his heart erupted like a volcano from the bottom of his heart. His face was dumbfounded. His pair of eyeballs were about to burst out of his eye sockets. This perfectly displayed the disbelief in his heart. No matter what, he did not expect that the person in front of him was still alive. How could he still be alive when he was surrounded by 2 great clans? Why are you still alive, is that so? Xiao Yan laughed coldly. His eyes were filled with mockery. Grandmaster Su, who is he? Seeing Su Songming's expression, the 2 people at the side could not help but frown. With the latter's status, it was too comical for him to show such an expression to a young man. Go. Quickly leave this place. Su Songming, on the other hand, could not be bothered about anything else. Having witnessed Xiao Yan's terror twice, he had long since left behind an impression of fear that could not be erased in his heart. Originally, he had thought that Xiao Yan had already been bound by the encirclement of the 2 large clans. However, from the looks of it, not only was Xiao Yan safe and sound, it appeared that even his cultivation had risen to another level. Cuckoo, Grandmaster Su, why are you so nervous? We have 6 elite Do-Di here. Even if this brat's strength is extraordinary, how can he be a match for a Do-Di? At the very most, I can ask the Su brothers to finish him off. This can be considered to have removed a great worry for Grandmaster. Wang Xiang was unconcerned about the fear in Su Songming's heart. He smiled righteously and ordered the Su brothers behind him to step forward. However, Su Songming's face was distorted as he coldly snorted. He turned his head to face Wang Xiang and cried out in a deep voice. Shut up, Wang Xiang! You idiot! With him around, why didn't you say so earlier? Today. No. In the future, the matters between your Wang clan and the Fong clan should be settled by yourselves. Just treat it as though I have never been here today. Su Songming cried out in a deep voice. His gaze dodged and swiftly swept over Xiao Yan's body. After which, he turned around and left with the 5-star Dodi beside him. At the same time, the faces of the people from the Wang clan involuntarily revealed a stunned expression. They had never expected that this so-called Grandmaster would actually be such a cowardly person. He was merely a young man. What was there to be afraid of? Swoosh! Just as Su Songming had just turned around, Xiao Yan's figure suddenly appeared in front of him. Cuckoo, since you have already come, don't leave. Xiao Yan's heart moved as he smiled. Immediately, the powerful aura that belonged to a 5-star Dodi swept out with a bang. It was like an invisible storm that violently pressured the two people in front of him. Chapter 848. Xiao Yan's figure stood proudly in the sky above Helan City. A frightening aura and pressure surged out without any restraint. It was just like a flash flood as it violently pressed toward the two people in front of him. The 5-star Dodi's aura and pressure that was suddenly emitted from Xiao Yan's body caused all the elite Dodi present to be greatly shocked. Who would have thought that this ordinary-looking black-robed young man in front of them was actually an elite Dodi? Moreover, the most shocking thing was that he was actually a 5-star Dodi. He is actually a 5-star Dodi. At this moment, even Wang Xiang's old eyes could not help but be filled with shock and despair. He had spent his entire life and was already half a foot into the ground. Only then was he lucky enough to break through to a 5-star Dodi. However, looking at this black-robed young man's young appearance, who would think that he was an elite Dodi under the precondition that he did not reveal any aura? Who would have thought that he was actually a 5-star Dodi? This was really unbelievable. However, with the great change in the current situation, he could not afford to hesitate any longer. The most important thing now was to finish off Xiao Yan. As for the members of the Feng clan, even if he did not intervene, there was Wang Zhenyu, Jin Gu, and the Su brothers. With these people, he believed that it was sufficient to finish off the members of the Feng clan. Bang! A powerful aura carried an incomparable force as it violently pressed toward the two of them. The 5-star Dodi beside Su Songming also suddenly stepped forward while his expression changed. Immediately, a powerful aura that belonged to an initial 5-star Dodi suddenly swept out. In an instant, it actually blocked Xiao Yan's aura and pressure. Unfortunately, within a short instant, Xiao Yan's aura and pressure easily forced back the 5-star Dodi in a destructive manner. Soon after, it forced back Wang Xiang and the group of people from the Wang clan, who had charged forward, as well as the people from the Wang clan behind him. Hua! The appearance of this scene immediately stirred a great commotion in the city below. Countless number of experts revealed shocked expressions as they looked at the black-robed human figure in the sky. Discussions quickly spread across the sky. The expressions of the members of the Wang clan in the sky suddenly changed drastically. They had never imagined that this mysterious black-robed man would actually be able to rely on his own strength to force back the entire clan. Even Wang Xiang, a 5-star Dodi, had been forced back by him. Just who was this person? Only at this moment did the members of the Feng clan believe what Xiao Yan had said earlier. They were reassured to hand the few elite Dodi to him. All they needed to do was to deal with the group of Bandi from the Wang clan. When they heard Xiao Yan say these words back then, the hearts of the elders of the Feng clan were still filled with doubt. No one dared to believe it. Only at this moment did the elders of the Feng clan understand that Xiao Yan's strength had far exceeded their imagination. From the aura and pressure that Xiao Yan had displayed, it was really difficult for them to imagine that he was only a 5-star Dodi. Xiao Yan, I will take the initiative to withdraw from today's matter. I will leave. I will leave immediately. Can you just treat it as though you have never seen me? Actually, nothing has happened between us. What happened earlier was all a misunderstanding. Those fellows have already been punished. You are a magnanimous person. Just write it all off, write it all off. I beg you. Just treat me as a fart and let me go, all right? Facing Xiao Yan, Su Songming was unable to summon any courage. The person in front of him was like the bright moon in the night sky, emitting an incomparable brilliance. On the other hand, he was merely the farthest star. How could the light of a firefly compete with the brilliance of the bright moon? This was Su Songming's current evaluation of himself. Compared to the person in front of him, he was nothing. Many years ago, Xiao Yan was merely a 6-star Bandi. At that time, he was already able to kill a 3-star Dodi. Now, his cultivation was even greater than before. Who in the same class could be a match for him? Although there was a 5-star Dodi beside him, Su Songming did not believe that this fellow would be able to block Xiao Yan with his strength. It was likely that only by adding him and Wang Xiang together would they be able to block Xiao Yan for a moment. Swoosh! In an instant, Xiao Yan's figure had already appeared in front of Su Songming. Even though he was a rank 3 alchemist, Su Songming did not detect the latter's agility at all. At that moment, Su Songming felt a great fear in his heart. His entire body uncontrollably froze on the spot as it trembled intensely. His eyes stared intently at Xiao Yan in front of him. His eyes were scarlet red and a terrified expression surfaced on his face. The person in front of him had long become a nightmare in his heart. The misunderstanding that you spoke of is only because you don't have the ability to kill me. If the situation was reversed, do you think that you would let me off? Xiao Yan coldly laughed. With a flip of his palm ruthlessly landed on Su Songming's head. At the critical moment of life and death, the desire to live in the depths of Su Songming's heart far surpassed the fear in his heart. While he hurriedly responded, his mouth also let out a terrified cry. Teacher Yuan, save me! With a loud cry, the 5-star Do Di who had been forced back by Xiao Yan's imposing aura also fiercely clenched his teeth. His body moved and his expression was serious as he charged explosively toward Xiao Yan. In a few flashes, this 5-star Do Di had already appeared in front of Xiao Yan. One of his hands faced Xiao Yan's palm head-on while the other hand grabbed Su Songming, intending to pull him away. Humph! However, in the face of this 5-star Do Di's attack, Xiao Yan let out an indifferent cold snort. With a thought, the strength in his palm immediately became a little more tyrannical. Soon after, it heavily collided with the palm of the 5-star Do Di. With a jerk of his arm, a powerful force immediately gushed out from Xiao Yan's palm. A huge force poured out. The powerful force had an unstoppable momentum and instantly broke the Do skill that the 5-star Do Di had used. After that, the remaining force was still incomparably powerful. His palm was pushed forward heavily. Together with the back of the 5-star Do Di's palm, it heavily landed on half of Su Songming's face. Bang! With just one palm, Xiao Yan once again forced the 5-star Do Di in front of him back. Even Su Songming's body flew back uncontrollably. Although the injury was not fatal, half of his face rapidly swelled up. Fresh blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. The fear in his heart grew even stronger. At this moment, Wang Xiang's heart was also filled with shock and anger. How could he have expected that Su Songming, who usually acted high and mighty, would actually be so afraid when he saw this black-robed man? It was really shameless. Moreover, this black-robed man's strength was actually far above his. If it was a one-on-one fight, Wang Xiang admitted that he would definitely not be a match for this black-robed man. This point could be seen just by looking at Yuan Shi. He had originally thought that it would be a show of torture. Who would have thought that it would actually turn out like this? All of this was caused by the sudden appearance of Xiao Yan in front of him. Wonderful Book House. Chapter 849. After forcing back the 5-star Do Di with one palm, Xiao Yan was expressionless. His eyes were cold and indifferent as he once again looked at Su Songming. The Do Qi within his body was swiftly circulated. Sensing this, the old face of the 5-star Do Di, who was called Yuan Shi, involuntarily twitched intensely. His body moved and he hurriedly blocked in front of Su Songming. At the same time that his face revealed a grave expression, he hurriedly asked Su Songming, "Grandmaster Su, who exactly is this brat? Why are you so afraid of him?" He is a demon. This fellow is a demon." Hearing Yuan Shi's words, the fear in Su Songming's heart became even greater. His hands held his distorted face as his body trembled and he let out a low roar. His feet involuntarily stepped back. Hearing this, Yuan Shi involuntarily frowned. Although the cultivation of the person in front of him was a little stronger than his, it was not to the extent of scaring Su Songming to such an extent. With his own strength, he might not be a match for him. However, if Wang Xiang were to join forces, Xiao Yan might not be a match for the two 5-star Do Di. Using his own strength to contend against two opponents of the same level. This kind of battle result was something that they had never seen before since they had started out. "Grandmaster Su, there is no need to be nervous. With the old me around, I will definitely not let you get hurt. As for this brat, you can rest assured that I will deal with him." Yuan Shi comforted. After which, he turned his gaze to Wang Xiang. At this moment, the latter was also looking at him. In their hearts, they both understood the strength of this black-robed young man in front of them. They also clearly understood that the best way to deal with Xiao Yan was for the two of them to join forces and attack together to suppress the latter. As for the Fong clan, even if Wang Xiang did not personally intervene, it would be extremely easy to deal with them. Currently, the only trouble in front of them was Xiao Yan. Wang Xiang, the two of us will join forces and break his spirit. I have the same intention. Wang Xiang nodded his head heavily. His body flashed and he arrived beside Yuan Shi. His eyes were like torches as he stared at Xiao Yan. Although I do not know who you are, since you insist on interfering in this matter, don't blame the two of us for being merciless today. Wang Xiang let out a cold cry. With the addition of a 5-star Dodi beside him, the pressure in his heart was greatly reduced. Even if the fighting strength of the person in front of him was extraordinary, he was only a 5-star Dodi. It was impossible for him to fight against two 5-star Dodi of the same level. You two idiots. You know nothing about his strength. Su Songming's face was filled with fear. Unable to contain himself, he anxiously cursed in his heart. He naturally knew that Yuan Shi's actions were merely for the sake of showing off before him. His purpose was merely for the sake of obtaining the medicinal pellets in his possession. Likely, if not for this, it would be impossible for Yuan Shi to willingly protect him, an 8-star half-martial emperor. From the moment he saw Xiao Yan for the first time, Su Songming clearly knew that the Wang clan's dream of swallowing up the Fong clan had come to an end. Xiao Yan was just like a nightmare. He mercilessly shattered the seemingly easy-to-realize beautiful dreams of those who stood opposite him. After meeting Xiao Yan twice, Su Songming's heart could be said to be avoiding the latter. Originally, he thought that Xiao Yan had already been surrounded by the two large clans. Who would have expected that the result would not only be contrary to his expectations, but it would also be shocking. At this moment, the only thought in Su Songming's heart was, flee. Flee this place. Flee from everything that had anything to do with Xiao Yan. As long as the latter existed, this so-called rank 3 alchemist was destined to be unable to lift his head. At this moment, the actions of these two people had created quite a good opportunity for Su Songming. He could take advantage of the time when these two people were entangled with Xiao Yan to take the opportunity to leave this place. Su Songming was not concerned about the life and death of these two people. Every man for himself, and the heavens take the hindmost. On the other side, Xiao Yan was expressionless in the face of Wang Xiang's shout. If this Fong clan had nothing to do with him, Xiao Yan naturally would not have bothered to involve himself in this matter. However, as luck would have it, the appearance of Yuan Qing meant that Xiao Yan was destined to act on behalf of the Fong clan. Even though Xiao Yan and Yuan Qing were not close, the 9 transformation body mantra that Yuan Qing had given him had helped Xiao Yan more than once. Many times, Xiao Yan could not help but think of its original owner and feel grateful from the bottom of his heart. Today, Yuan Qing was willing to give up everything he had for the Fong clan. He was even willing to put his life on the line. This kind of heroic spirit moved Xiao Yan. Of course, other than this, Yuan Qing was also a deacon of the Cloud Immortal sect. This relationship was also one of the reasons why Xiao Yan acted. Regardless of what the case was, it was impossible for everyone present to return alive today. Xiao Yan's gaze swept over the two people in front of him. Soon after, his gaze landed on the few elite Dodi in the Wang clan's group behind him. Jin Gu, Wang Zhenyu, the Su brothers. Adding the two people in front of him, the Wang clan side had a total of 6 elite Dodi. This lineup was actually 2 more than what Feng Cheng had expected. If Xiao Yan was not present today, it was likely that these people from the Feng clan would have been killed by the Wang clan in an instant. All of you, attack together. I don't have so much time to waste with all of you. A pair of dark black eyes once again returned to the two people in front of him. Xiao Yan's tone was especially calm as he spoke. Since you don't know what's good for you, let's attack together. Wang Xiang's expression turned cold. He did not expect that Xiao Yan would actually say such shameless words. Immediately, he exchanged glances with Yuan Shi beside him. The two of them nodded heavily. Their bodies leaned forward as they prepared to attack. Wait! It was also at this moment that Xiao Yan frowned. His face revealed an impatient expression as he cried out in a deep voice to stop the actions of the two people in front of him. Hearing this, Wang Xiang and Yuan Shi involuntarily frowned. What was Xiao Yan planning this time? You may have misunderstood. When I say attack together, I mean that the both of you, including the few Dodi behind you, will attack together and end the battle quickly. I don't have the time to fight one by one. What? Everyone from the Wang clan was immediately startled when these words of Xiao Yan were spoken. Their expressions changed one after another, especially the few elite Dodi in front. Their hearts were incomparably shocked. They nearly thought that they had heard wrongly. Xiao Yan actually wanted to deal with 6 elite Dodi from the Wang clan alone? How was that possible? However, just as everyone from the Wang clan was feeling shocked, the expression of Xiao Yan, who was standing in the empty air, suddenly changed. Almost at the same time, the footwork of his feet suddenly changed. He instantly used the sky extinction steps. Soon after, Xiao Yan's body had already appeared in front of Wang Xiang. Xiao Yan clenched his hand into a fist. A powerful force swiftly agglomerated in his palm. Wherever the wind from the fist passed, it emitted a hoo-hoo sound of rushing wind as it heavily smashed toward Wang Xiang's chest. Damn it! What a frightening speed! Wang Xiang's heart was greatly shocked. At the same time that his expression changed, he also hurriedly attacked. His fist violently collided with Xiao Yan's fist that was heading toward him. Just as Xiao Yan and Wang Xiang were about to collide, everyone's gazes were focused on the two of them. At this moment, Su Songming was trying his best to hide his aura as he withdrew to the back of the group. Chapter 850. Bang! After the short collision, Xiao Yan and Wang Xiang each took a few steps back. Soon after, Xiao Yan's footsteps had just paused when Yuan Shi's figure quickly moved forward. His palm landed heavily on Xiao Yan's chest. Faced with this person's attack, Xiao Yan's expression was calm. His body seemed to turn slightly to one side without leaving a trace. Immediately, Yuan Shi's palm, which was filled with an imposing aura, came close to Xiao Yan's black robe and narrowly missed him. Yuan Shi's heart was slightly startled. Just as he was about to withdraw and fly back, Xiao Yan suddenly raised his fist. With a loud cry in his heart, he instantly used the Force Elephant skill. A punch that was filled with strength landed heavily on Yuan Shi's chest. Puff! Yuan Shi's face instantly turned red. Soon after, a large mouthful of fresh blood was involuntarily spat out from his mouth. At the same time, his body uncontrollably fell downwards. Just this attack alone was enough to cause the latter to lose all of his fighting strength for a short period of time. One could imagine just how terrifying Xiao Yan's attack was. After the short training in the desert, Xiao Yan's physical strength had once again increased. Currently, with just the strength of his physical body, an ordinary elite Dodi was nothing in Xiao Yan's eyes. Adding his Do Qi, Xiao Yan was an invincible existence among those of the same level. Swoosh! On the other side, Wang Xiang's shriveled hands were bent into claws. The moment Yuan Shi was struck down, the attack in his hands had already arrived behind Xiao Yan's back. Pure Do Qi rapidly agglomerated at the tip of his finger. They were like sharp needles that were extended and contracted. Wherever they passed, even space itself was cut into 5 dark black cracks. This was enough to show how frightening Wang Xiang's attack was. Eroding bone claw. As a low cry was emitted from Wang Xiang's mouth, the claw had already pressed on Xiao Yan's neck. Die! Seeing that Xiao Yan was unable to react in time, Wang Xiang rejoiced in his heart. As long as he finished off Xiao Yan in front of him, the Feng clan would be easily conquered. Chi! Nonetheless, when Wang Xiang's claw landed, what appeared under his claw was not fresh blood, but pieces of afterimages. Afterimage! Suddenly, Wang Xiang was shocked. Just as he was about to retreat, an extremely cold and sinister feeling suddenly rose from behind him. In an instant, Wang Xiang's heart was in his throat. Such a strange speed. Was he really just a 5-star Dodi? Wang Xiang couldn't help but think in horror. However, the current situation didn't allow him to hesitate any longer. Die! Just as the chilling feeling rose from behind him, Wang Xiang suddenly turned around and slashed out with his claw. The formless void instantly exploded. It was like a thin piece of paper being torn apart by Wang Xiang's claw. What? Nothing. Ah! However, in the next instant, the body of one of the Su brothers in the Wang clan group suddenly tensed up. His face was flushed red and his eyes were filled with blood. His pupils rapidly dilated as his life force rapidly dissipated. Big brother! The mouth of the other 1-star Dodi by the side involuntarily emitted a sharp roar. They watched the person beside them fall, but they were unable to discover when Xiao Yan had attacked from the beginning until the end. Such agility could be called ghostly. All the members of the Wang clan present involuntarily swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Immediately, a deep fear uncontrollably surged out from their hearts. A portion of the Wang clan members were so frightened that their faces turned pale. They were afraid that they would follow in the footsteps of their predecessors. Only then did Jin Gu and the others understand that the words that Xiao Yan had said earlier were not empty words. With his strength alone, he did indeed have the ability to deal with 6 elite Do Di. From the looks of the strength that the latter had displayed, it was likely that even if the 6 of them were to join forces, they might not be a match for him. Is he a human or a ghost? Is he a human or a ghost? One of the surviving Su brothers involuntarily let out a terrified roar. He even regretted participating in the matter of the Wang clan. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Swoosh! Soon after, a black-robed Xiao Yan suddenly appeared in front of Su Songming, who was fleeing out of Helan City, at a certain spot in the empty space above him. Ah! The expression on Su Songming's old face immediately changed drastically. He hurriedly turned around and hurriedly fled with a heart filled with fear. However, regardless of how long he turned around on the spot, Xiao Yan's figure continued to stand in front of him, causing him to be unable to escape. Take it as me begging you. Please let me off. What happened between us is merely a misunderstanding. At the very most, I will apologize to you. You won't go so far as to kill me, right? Su Songming's old face was as pale as paper. The fear in his heart caused his body to tremble involuntarily. However, he still let out an unwilling roar. However, in the face of Su Songming's unwilling roar, Xiao Yan remained expressionless. He raised his hand and his palm faced the latter. At the same time, behind Xiao Yan, an enormous illusionary figure also extended its hand and covered Su Songming's entire body. The invisible pressure caused a flush to appear on Su Songming's pale face. That powerful force seemed to have grasped his entire life in its palm. At this moment, Su Songming did not doubt that Xiao Yan could instantly kill him if he wanted to. Xiao Yan, you can't kill me. I am a member of the Alchemist Alliance. If you kill me, the Alchemist Alliance will definitely not let you off. You can't kill me. Noisy. Under this powerful pressure, Su Songming's heart became even more fearful. Just as he let out a crazy roar, Xiao Yan suddenly clenched his outstretched hand. In an instant, the latter's body exploded in front of Xiao Yan and turned into a scarlet blood mist. At the same time, a solid spiritual body appeared in Xiao Yan's hand. This was Su Songming's spiritual body. However, under Xiao Yan's powerful pressure, the latter's spiritual body had already fainted. Chi! With a thought, a dense white flame immediately rose from his palm. In an instant, it completely wiped out Su Songming's spiritual consciousness. As a result, the only thing that appeared in Xiao Yan's hand was a ball of spiritual source. After doing this, Xiao Yan's gaze turned back and looked at the remaining 5 people. In his eyes, a dense white flame gradually climbed up. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. 3 pitch-black tents appeared one after another. Xiao Yan's figure quickly moved between the tents. When he appeared, he was already in front of Wang Xiang. Under the latter's terrified gaze, Xiao Yan's gaze met his. At the same time, the palm covered in dense white flames landed on Wang Xiang's neck. Then, Wang Xiang's old eyes gradually widened. Chapter 851. When the life force in Wang Xiang's eyes completely disappeared, the bone-chilling flame that covered Xiao Yan's hand also spread out and swiftly covered the latter's entire body. After which, a bang sounded and Wang Xiang's physical body was incinerated into nothingness by the heavenly flame. The thing that was currently being held in Xiao Yan's hand was the latter's essence. After storing it into his storage ring, Xiao Yan's gaze turned and looked at the other few people. Seeing Xiao Yan's gaze shoot over, the hearts of Jin Go and the others immediately tightened. A deep fear swiftly rose uncontrollably from the bottom of their hearts. The terror of the person in front of them was something that they had never seen before. With the cultivation of a 5-star Do Di, he was actually able to easily kill an expert of the same level. Who in the entire continent could do such a thing? Only at this moment did they understand why Su Songming had revealed such a terrified expression when he saw Xiao Yan earlier. This was because he clearly knew that none of the elite Do Di present was a match for him. Even if they were to gather together, they would not be able to cause any harm to Xiao Yan. He was really too frightening. What should we do now? Jin Ji's heart was filled with fear as he thought about it. However, after thinking about it, there was nothing else that they could do other than flee. At this moment, Xiao Yan's gaze landed on the city below and on Yuan Shi, who had temporarily lost the ability to fight. At this moment, Yuan Shi intended to secretly flee from the city after witnessing how frightening Xiao Yan was. With the help of the surrounding crowd, he might have a chance to leave this place. However, Xiao Yan did not intend to let him leave. Swoosh! After using the sky extinction steps, Xiao Yan had already appeared in front of Yuan Shi, who was frantically fleeing at this moment. Xiao Yan, who had suddenly appeared, immediately blocked Yuan Shi's path. A pair of dark black eyes contained an icy coldness. His indifferent face did not contain any emotion. Ah! Yuan Shi was greatly alarmed. His originally pale face turned even paler at this moment. Sir, we don't seem to have crossed paths before. Today's matter is just a misunderstanding. Why don't we take this opportunity to make friends? While he was panicking, Yuan Shi hurriedly squeezed out an ugly smile on his face and said with a fawning smile. However, no one knew exactly how terrified he was in his heart at this moment. Make friends? Not interested. Xiao Yan's calm words were enough to express his current feelings. At the same time, he raised his hand and aimed his palm at Yuan Shi's throat, as though he wanted to grasp the other party in his palm. At the same time, Yuan Shi also felt an extremely terrifying pressure from the space around him. It was the Force Elephant skill that gave him this pressure. Damn it! Do you really want to kill me? Yuan Shi howled in terror. However, Xiao Yan paid him no heed. He clenched his fist tightly, and a formless hand appeared in the next instant, controlling Yuan Shi's body. Bastard! If you want to kill me, you will also be buried with me. Since he was going to die either way, Yuan Shi decided to give up on the thought in his heart. With a thought, the Do Qi in the vortex in his body began to move wildly and swiftly poured into every corner of Yuan Shi's body. This caused the latter's body, which was under Xiao Yan's control, to begin to emit a bang sound. From the looks of it, this fellow was intending to self-destruct. Oh, self-destruct, huh? With regards to this, Xiao Yan's expression did not change as he muttered. Immediately, his tightly clenched fist suddenly exerted force. Before the Do Qi in Yuan Shi's body could completely spread, Xiao Yan had already used the Force Elephant skill to forcefully crush the latter with a bang. Similar to before, Xiao Yan naturally did not let go of the latter's spiritual origin. Although he had killed another person who was completely unrelated to him, Xiao Yan did not feel any burden in his heart. This was the Western Wastelands region. Killings were being played out at all times. In this place, there was no need to pity anyone. As long as one was certain that one wanted to kill the other party, there was no need for a reason. This place was a land of killing. Being merciful would only harm Xiao Yan himself. This point was something that Xiao Yan had already understood. Which one of these people that he had killed did not have a blood debt on their backs? In this Western Wastelands region, which one of them was not known as a ruthless person who did not leave any leeway when they did things? Today, Xiao Yan was merely giving them a taste of their own medicine. When Xiao Yan turned his head around and looked at Jin Gu and Wang Zhenyu once again, these two had already fled in different directions. Why would they care about the clan? They were not living for themselves. Unfortunately. Flee? Is there any use? Xiao Yan coldly laughed. Soon after, a thought passed through his mind and another 4 tents were instantly formed. Almost at the same time, Xiao Yan's figure actually appeared behind Wang Zhenyu and Jin Gu. Only at this moment did the two of them react. Their gazes hurriedly swept over the two Xiao Yan's bodies. Their hearts were extremely terrified. Just which one of them was the real one? Just as the hearts of the two of them were extremely terrified, Xiao Yan's figure suddenly appeared in front of the other one-star Do Di. In an instant, he used the bone-chilling flame to easily kill the latter. An afterimage. Seeing Xiao Yan appear in front of the one-star Do Di, the hearts of the two of them immediately calmed down. The person in front of them was definitely an afterimage. Immediately, they recklessly charged into the distance. However, grug. Just as the two of them were about to flee, a merciless palm ruthlessly penetrated their chests. A terrifying destructive strength instantly incinerated the bodies of the two of them. Even when the life in their eyes disappeared, they still did not know how these two so-called afterimages could possibly possess the strength to attack. After withdrawing the two avatars back into his body, Xiao Yan collected their spiritual sources with one hand. Of course, at the same time, he also collected their storage rings. At this moment, the 6 elite Do-Di present had all been killed by Xiao Yan in less than 15 minutes. Even at this moment, some of the people from both clans had yet to recover from their shock. This kind of one-sided battle was really hard to imagine. Everything in front of them was like an illusion. It appeared so unreal. Just as everyone was in a daze, Xiao Yan's figure flashed and arrived beside Yuan Qing. He gently patted Yuan Qing's shoulder and smiled. "Then I will leave the rest to you." Xiao Yan seemed to smile casually. His body moved and landed in the Fong clan's mansion below. Gulp. Everyone in the sky and on the ground could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Soon after, the sounds of fighting that were filled with wild joy and fear faintly resounded in the sky above Healan City. At this moment, Xiao Yan could not help but want to take a look at the many spoils of war that he had obtained. This was especially so for those spiritual sources. If ancestor Xiao Xian devoured them, he wondered if he would be able to awaken them. Carrying the anticipation in his heart, Xiao Yan charged into the Fong clan's mansion below. Chapter 852. The Fong clan mansion. Xiao Yan's figure was seated cross-legged on the bed within the room. 7 clusters of cream-white light of different sizes were suspended in the empty space in front of him. These 7 clusters of light were the 6 elite Do-Dis and Su Songming's spiritual essence. Xiao Yan unceremoniously accepted all of their spiritual essences. Only Su Songming's spiritual strength was the largest among the 7 clusters of spiritual essences. As a rank 3 alchemist, even an elite Do-Di had difficulty comparing with him in terms of spiritual strength. Of course, the spiritual strength contained within the other 6 clusters of cream-white light was naturally not inferior. If ancestor Xiao Xian swallows these spiritual essences, he should be able to awaken. Xiao Yan was filled with anticipation as he looked at the 7 clusters of light in front of him. His heart was filled with surprise. Along the way, Xiao Yan had refined quite a number of Bandi's spiritual essences and had allowed Xiao Xian to swallow all of them. However, the final result was very little. Xiao Xian's condition was already extremely bad. Hence, the requirement for the spiritual essences that he absorbed was even higher. In the eyes of an ordinary person, what was considered an extremely pure spiritual essence was something that Xiao Yan needed to refine until the final spiritual essence that he obtained could be easily absorbed by others. The gentleness and purity of the spiritual essence was something that even a newborn baby could easily endure. It was also because of this that Xiao Yan could only obtain a small portion of each cluster of spiritual essences that Xiao Xian had obtained. However, the heavens did not disappoint those who were willing. After a long period of refinement, Xiao Xian's soul fragment had turned from the size of a thumb to a palm-sized cream-white cluster of light. Moreover, due to the extreme agglomeration of the spiritual essence, Xiao Xian's spiritual essence was unusually thick. The only unfortunate thing was that even so, there was still a long way to go before Xiao Xian could truly awaken. Now that he had the spiritual essences of these 7 elite Do-Dis, Xiao Yan had a greater confidence in his heart. Perhaps Xiao Xian would be able to awaken after swallowing these spiritual essences. The moment he thought of this in his heart, Xiao Yan's face involuntarily revealed an excited smile. He had been waiting for this day for far too long. Xiao Yan glanced at the 7 light clusters in the empty space in front of him. A thought passed through his mind and a puff sound was heard. A dense white flame immediately rose in the empty space in front of him. Following the control of Xiao Yan's mind, the flame swiftly wrapped around the 7 light clusters. Borrowing the high temperature of the flame, Xiao Yan began to refine these 7 clusters of spiritual essence. Following the death of the elite Do-Di from the Wang clan in the outside world, everyone from the Fong clan felt as though the sky had collapsed. The experts from the Wang clan were powerless to resist the attacks of the people from the Fong clan. Within a short moment, the dozens of Bandi experts from the Wang clan had all been killed. The Wang clan's mansion had also been emptied in an instant. Other than a small portion, most of the experts from the Wang clan had been captured and killed by the Fong clan. In short, from today onwards, there would no longer be a Wang clan in this Healan city. The Fong clan would become the only clan in this Healan city. All of these changes were because of Xiao Yan, who was currently sitting cross-legged in the Fong clan's mansion. After today's matter, Xiao Yan's name would ring out for the first time in this western wasteland region. In just one morning, the Fong clan had already occupied the original mansion of the Wang clan, including the countless treasures that the Wang clan had accumulated over the years. Within an underground secret room of the Wang clan, Feng Cheng and Yuan Qing were basically stunned as they watched everything in front of them. Everything that entered their eyes was bright and dazzling. Countless spirit coins were piled up like a mountain. There were even several hundred low-grade spirit stones. The various qi methods and do techniques were innumerable and were all arranged separately. Under the rough investigation of the two of them, there were nearly 100 scrolls of qi methods and do techniques among the qi methods and do techniques here. There were even over 30 Ling-class qi methods and do techniques. Adding the countless number of medicinal ingredients and other materials, the wealth that was currently placed in front of the two of them was something that even the entire foundation of the Fong clan could not compare with. During these years, the Wang clan has secretly done quite a number of shady things that harm others. The strength of the clan has also soared. Unfortunately, it is ultimately all for naught. The way the Wang clan does things is extreme. They are greedy and cunning. Such an outcome can be considered retribution. This is not retribution. Instead, it is their own doing. They cannot live. Feng Cheng's tone was cold as he scolded. Both of his eyes emitted a glow as they once again swept over this secret room. There was naturally no need to say more about the palpitation in his heart. However, in the end, he did not touch a single thing within this secret room. Let's go. Don't touch the things here first. We should wait for Sir Xiao Yan to take a look before we speak. Feng Cheng's heart was extremely clear that the reason the Fong clan was able to eliminate the Wang clan in one fell swoop in today's battle was not because of the strength of his Fong clan. Instead, it was because they had taken advantage of Xiao Yan. If the latter did not act, the current Wang clan would have ended up with their original ending. It was because of this that Feng Cheng stopped the group of elders from the Fong clan who had continuously entered the secret room. At the same time, even the way he addressed Xiao Yan had unknowingly changed once again. The strength that Xiao Yan had displayed today was sufficient to cause him to raise his eyebrows. There was no need to mention those elders of the Fong clan whose strength was not even a do-di. None of the elders behind Feng Cheng dared to object to his words. After which, this group of people obediently withdrew from the secret room. On the other side, Xiao Yan was also crazily refining the 7 clusters of spiritual origins in front of him. An enormous spiritual strength continued to surge out from between his eyebrows. Do Qi surged wildly and the heavenly flame rose. Under the frighteningly high temperature of the heavenly flame, the impurities within the 7 clusters of spiritual origins were gradually refined. Even a portion of the spiritual strength that was not pure enough was stripped away by Xiao Yan without any hesitation under this kind of refinement. It was also because of this that the refining process of these 7 clusters of spiritual origins became extremely slow. According to a normal situation, the refining of this cluster of spiritual origins would at most take 4 to 6 hours. However, it was likely that even Xiao Yan himself did not expect that just refining these 7 clusters of spiritual origins would actually take half a month's time. During this half a month, the members of the Fong clan could only wait patiently. At the beginning, they had originally thought that something had happened to Xiao Yan. However, after they sensed the nearly frightening spiritual pressure that spread out from Xiao Yan's room, the doubt in everyone's hearts was instantly dispelled. The secret room of the Wang clan had also been sealed for a long time following Xiao Yan's retreat. It seemed that as long as Xiao Yan did not leave, the secret room would definitely not be opened. Buzz buzz buzz. At a certain moment half a month later, the 7 clusters of spiritual origins that were suspended in front of Xiao Yan in his room suddenly trembled. Immediately, under Xiao Yan's control, they did not cause the slightest ripple and perfectly merged together. The appearance of this scene also proved that at this moment, these 7 clusters of spiritual origins had finally been completely refined by Xiao Yan. Chapter 853. In the room, Xiao Yan's eyes, which had been tightly shut for half a month, finally slowly opened at this moment. Although he had not rested for half a month, Xiao Yan did not feel the slightest bit tired after being bathed in this enormous spiritual power. Instead, his condition was always at its peak, and even his spiritual power had increased a little. With a thought, Xiao Yan withdrew the spiritual pressure that had spread out. Xiao Yan lifted his gaze and looked at the milky white ball of light that was only the size of a soccer ball in front of him. This ball of light was the result of the final refinement and condensation of the 7 balls of soul origins. Although it seemed that most of the spiritual power of the 7 balls of soul origins had been consumed in vain, what was obtained in the end could be considered the essence of the essence. Once Xiao Xian's soul remnant devoured these soul origins, it might be the moment that Xiao Xian awakened. However, this process could not be rushed. With his previous experience, Xiao Yan clearly knew that it would take at least another month for Xiao Xian to completely devour this ball of soul origins. Although Xiao Yan could not control the excitement in his heart, this was something that could not be changed. Unless Xiao Yan did not mind if something unexpected happened to Xiao Xian's soul remnant. With a flip of his hand, a light flashed in Xiao Yan's palm, and a palm-sized milky white ball of energy appeared in Xiao Yan's palm. With the growth of this cluster of spiritual essence, Xiao Yan was finally able to vaguely sense a trace of an unusual aura hidden deep within it. That aura belonged to Xiao Xian. Although that aura was still very weak, Xiao Yan believed that one day, Xiao Xian would completely awaken. Ancestor, I've been waiting for this day for far too long. Thinking of this, Xiao Yan's eyes could not help but turn slightly red. Carefully holding the soul remnant in his hands, Xiao Yan slowly brought it into contact with the extremely pure ball of soul origin in front of him. The moment the two came into contact, a gentle light was emitted from the 2 balls of soul origin. Very quickly, the two merged together like a large ball covering a small ball. After doing all this and confirming that there were no mistakes, Xiao Yan let out a long sigh of relief. His body moved, got off the bed, and walked out of the door. At this moment, the 2 people outside his door seemed to be somewhat impatient. When Xiao Yan opened the door, 2 people were standing in front of it. It was Feng Cheng and Yuan Qing. Lord Xiao Yan has finally come out. If you didn't come out, we would have thought that something had happened to you. Seeing Xiao Yan, Feng Cheng's tightly knitted brows instantly disappeared. He hurriedly changed into a respectful smile. Yuan Qing also helplessly smiled and did not say much. However, when he looked at Xiao Yan, there was some astonishment in his gaze. I'm very well. Thank you for your concern, Patriarch Feng. However, is there something that you've been waiting for me here? With a faint smile, Xiao Yan turned to look at Feng Cheng with a questioning tone. A few days ago, the soul strength that he had released had already discovered that these 2 people were frequently standing in front of his door. They seemed to be waiting for him. This made Xiao Yan feel rather puzzled. Haha, it's not a big matter. It's just that half a month ago, we've already exterminated the Wang clan and found the treasury of the Wang clan. We don't dare to act rashly and hope that Lord Xiao Yan can head over to take a look. Of course, the things inside will naturally be decided by Lord Xiao Yan. Hearing these words, Xiao Yan's eyes flashed slightly. He immediately understood in his heart. So this fellow had such an idea. They were afraid of angering him, so they did not dare to act rashly with the things in the treasury of the Wang clan. However, from his final words, if Xiao Yan did not leave something for their Feng clan, it would be Xiao Yan's fault. All right, I'll go take a look. If there's anything that I can use, I'll take a few. Xiao Yan smiled. Soon after, under Feng Cheng's lead, he arrived at the treasury of the Wang clan. Upon arriving, Xiao Yan saw the dazzling array of precious treasures at first glance. He could not help but feel astonished in his heart. The Wang clan was after all a large clan. Their foundation was truly not bad. Compared to trash like the Lin clan of Shen City, they were more than a few times stronger. However, they were naturally inferior to Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's gaze swiftly searched around this treasure trove. This was especially the case when he noticed those medicinal ingredients that were perfectly preserved. Even with his mental strength, his eyes involuntarily revealed a fiery hot expression. Just based on the medicinal ingredients within the treasury, it was sufficient for Xiao Yan to refine close to 100 Tier 3 medicinal pills. Furthermore, under Xiao Yan's careful inspection, there were even a few high-grade medicinal ingredients that were used to refine Tier 4 medicinal pills. Xiao Yan was not the slightest bit courteous towards these medicinal ingredients. In front of the 2 of them, he kept all of them into his storage ring. When the 2 of them saw this, they could not help but raise their eyebrows. After exchanging glances, they looked towards Xiao Yan in astonishment. Sir Xiao Yan, could it be that you're also an alchemist? Hearing Feng Cheng's words, Xiao Yan seemed to have suddenly discovered something. He looked towards the latter and smiled. He nodded his head in a non-committal manner, after which, he once again turned his head and took away a small portion of all the items that he felt were pleasing to his eyes. The remaining items were naturally left to the Fong clan. Among those items, what Xiao Yan took away were the few medicinal ingredients used to refine Tier 4 medicinal pills as well as a few high-level spirit chi methods and dou skills. Although these items were undoubtedly the most precious among all the items present, the wealth that Xiao Yan left for the Fong clan was much more precious when added together. As for spirit stones and medicinal pills, Xiao Yan was purely not interested in them. Xiao Yan still had quite a number of spirit stones on him. His foundation was more than a few times more than what was in front of him. As for medicinal pills, without mentioning that Xiao Yan himself was a Tier 3 alchemist, even the stock in his storage ring was not something that these medicinal pills in front of him could compare with. Within a short couple of minutes, Xiao Yan had already put away the things and left the treasure house under the surprised gazes of the two people behind him. He only took this little? Seeing Xiao Yan's lightning-quick manner, Feng Cheng could not help but feel shocked in his heart. It should be known that everything in this treasure house was personally arranged by that old fellow Wang Xiang. The things that could be kept by him were definitely all priceless treasures. They could even be called priceless treasures. However, in Xiao Yan's eyes, could it be that there were only these few things that were valuable? Or could it be that the latter had the intention of leaving these things to their Feng clan? After thinking for a moment in his heart, Feng Cheng chose the latter. After all, there were so many treasures in this treasure house. Even if he was a 5-star Dou Di, it was impossible for him not to be moved. The reason why Xiao Yan did not take them was likely because he had deliberately left them for his Feng clan. Once he thought of this point in his heart, Feng Cheng's favorable impression and respect toward Xiao Yan in his heart suddenly rose at this moment. However, how would he know that the treasures within this treasure house, which were all clan-guarding treasures in his eyes, were merely mediocre in Xiao Yan's eyes? After collecting those few things that could be considered acceptable, Xiao Yan quickly returned to the Feng clan. Within the room, Xiao Yan flipped his hand and 8 storage rings appeared in his palm. These 8 storage rings were the spoils of war that he had plundered from Wang Xiang and the others. Among them, other than Su Songming who held 2 rings, the rest each had 1 ring. After seeing the treasures within the treasure house, it was now time to see just how valuable the things that these 7 fellows carried with them were. Chapter 854. Xiao Yan's body was seated cross-legged on the bed within the room. There were 8 storage rings of different shapes in his palm. Xiao Yan's spiritual strength was inspecting these 8 storage rings one by one. First was the storage rings of the Su brothers. The 2 of them were merely 1-star Dou Di. Naturally, there were very few items within their storage rings that could catch Xiao Yan's eye. Other than a small amount of spirit stones, there were only a couple of Tier 3 medicinal pills that were worth looking at. Xiao Yan randomly made a comparison and guessed that those few medicinal pills were likely the reward for helping the Wang clan this time around. Unfortunately, the 2 of them did not have the time to do anything before they had lost their lives in vain. After randomly skipping over them, Xiao Yan once again looked at Jin Ji's storage ring. The latter was a 4-star Dou Di. In comparison, the value of the items within his storage ring was naturally much higher. Tier 3 medicinal pills and man-class chi methods and dou techniques were also worth looking at. The thing that caused Xiao Yan to be most interested was that there were actually 3 spirit-class chi methods within this fellow's storage ring. The one with the highest grade had actually reached the spirit-class middle level. Such a chi method was able to appear in the hands of a 4-star Dou Di, who was not considered a large faction. After all, not everyone had the support of an ancient and large faction like the 4 great clans under the Sky Sword sect. The channels to obtain chi methods and dou techniques were even rarer. Indeed, this Jin Gu was not an ordinary person to be able to make a name for himself at the border of the Western Wasteland region. Unfortunately, he had met Xiao Yan, after which, the 4th storage ring belonged to Wang Xiang. Being the previous clan head of the Wang clan and the true person in charge of the Wang clan, the various treasures within his storage ring would cause one to be stunned. Even Xiao Yan's eyes involuntarily emitted a golden glow when he saw them. There was no need to mention the number of pills he had. In addition to a large number of Tier 3 pills, there were also 2 Tier 4 pills in his storage ring. These were pills that could bring a person back to life at a critical moment. Even Xiao Yan did not have a single Tier 4 pill in his possession. Who would have thought that Wang Xiang would have Tier 4 pills in his possession? Other than this, the thing that caused Xiao Yan to feel even more unrestrained joy in his heart was that other than the 2 Tier 4 medicinal pills, there were actually 3 scrolls of Tier 4 medicinal pill formulas stored within the storage ring. This caused Xiao Yan to feel as though he had obtained a treasure. If the two Tier 4 medicinal pills were able to cause Xiao Yan to laugh wildly in excitement, then these 3 Tier 4 medicinal pill formulas were sufficient to cause him to go crazy. Compared to medicinal pills, pill formulas were the true lifeblood of alchemists. Although medicinal pills were precious, there would come a day when they would be used up. However, pill formulas were different. As long as one had a pill formula, it meant that there was a chance to refine even more medicinal pills. This meant that there would be an endless supply of medicinal pills. Most people would know how to weigh the pros and cons of this. At least, under the premise that they were not in a desperate situation, if an alchemist had to choose between a Tier 4 pill formula and a Tier 4 pill formula, they would definitely choose the latter without hesitation. In addition to medicinal pills and pill formulas, the storage of spirit stones in the storage ring was also quite astonishing. Even Xiao Yan himself could not help but click his tongue in amazement. Hey! This old man. Don't tell me that he carried the entire family's wealth on himself. Just based on these things, I'm afraid that even if there were 2 or 3 more treasures in his Wang family's treasury, they would still not be able to compare. Compared to the Wang family's treasury, the amount of spirit stones in the storage ring was more than a few times more. It was even more than the amount of spirit stones in Xiao Yan's storage ring. As for chi methods and do skills, other than the 2 spirit middle-level chi methods, there was nothing else that caught Xiao Yan's eye. As for the rest, they were all some rare medicinal ingredients or metal materials. Xiao Yan also put them all into his storage ring. Subsequently, Xiao Yan picked up Wang Zhenyu's storage ring and the smile on his face gradually faded. Although Wang Zhenyu was the current head of the Wang family, the true sovereignty of the Wang family was still in the hands of Wang Xiang. In the end, Wang Zhenyu was just an empty shell. However, it was because of this that when Xiao Yan opened his storage ring, the scene inside caused Xiao Yan to be stunned. In comparison, although the pills and chi methods and do skills in the storage ring could not compare to the former, the amount of spirit stones in the storage ring had reached an extremely shocking amount. A countless number of spirit stones were piled into a mountain and piled in front of Xiao Yan without any control. They were just like numerous small mountains. The gentle white light reflected on each other, causing the entire space to become extremely dazzling. The number of spirit stones in the storage ring was something that even if Xiao Yan and the few people in front of him were added together, they would not be able to compare with. Gulp! As his throat moved, Xiao Yan could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. It was only a moment later that he gradually regained his senses. The gentle white light shone on Xiao Yan's handsome face. A pair of pitch-black eyes reflected a milky white fiery glow. His tongue fiercely licked his lips. The excitement in his heart had reached its peak at this moment. Such a large amount of spirit stones was a huge fortune to Xiao Yan. With these spirit stones, the problem of the cultivation of the 9 incarnations would be completely solved in the future. Overall, the appearance of these spirit stones would be a great help to Xiao Yan's combat strength. Finally, it was naturally Su Songming's storage ring's turn. Among these 8 storage rings, the one that interested Xiao Yan the most was naturally Su Songming's storage ring. The latter was a rank 3 alchemist and was also a member of the Alchemist Alliance. He would definitely have many pill formulas in his hands. If he could obtain some high-tier pill formulas from the streets, it would undoubtedly be the biggest surprise for Xiao Yan. Sure enough, in Su Songming's storage ring, there were more than 10 pill formulas for rank 3 pills. Although this seemed small, even Xiao Yan himself only had 9 pill formulas for rank 3 pills in his storage ring. Including the pill formulas in the previous few, there were only 26 pill formulas for rank 3 pills in Xiao Yan's storage ring. Looking at the leopard through a tube, one could see the whole picture. Therefore, the existence of more than 10 pill formulas for rank 3 pills was a huge surprise for Xiao Yan. Apart from these, there were also a dozen or so tier 3 medicinal pills. From this point, Su Songming, this tier 3 alchemist, was also quite shabby. A dignified tier 3 alchemist actually only had a dozen or so tier 3 medicinal pills in his possession. This could also be considered a loss of face. However, Xiao Yan felt relieved when he thought about it. Other than a portion of the pills in his possession being refined by himself, half of the pills in his possession came from other places. However, the pills in Su Songming's possession were different. No matter how many he needed, he could only refine them himself. After all, his strength did not support his ability to obtain pills from other places. In addition to more than 10 pill formulas for rank 3 pills, Xiao Yan also obtained 3 more rank 4 pill formulas, 3 spirit rank middle-level cultivation methods, and a large amount of precious medicinal ingredients. At this point, the 7 storage rings were completely swept clean by Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's wallet also swelled in an instant. Xiao Yan did not doubt that with the wealth he currently possessed, even the 4 great sects might not be able to compare with him. Finally, it was the turn of the 8th storage ring. Compared to the previous 7 storage rings, this storage ring was somewhat different. On the snow-white storage ring, some mysterious talismans were crookedly engraved. There was even a faint golden glow faintly emitting from it. After careful inspection, Xiao Yan was even more surprised to discover that on the surface of this ring, there was actually a layer of golden light that was difficult to detect with the naked eye, protecting this ring. From those mysterious talismans, Xiao Yan was able to recognize that they were talismans that were unique to formations. However, what made him suspicious was why the talismans used by formations would appear on a ring. As he thought of this, Xiao Yan immediately could not help but lightly raise his eyebrows as his eyes slowly narrowed. This ring did not seem to be an ordinary storage ring. Chapter 855. With doubts in his heart, Xiao Yan intended to pour his spiritual strength into the ring. However, just as Xiao Yan's spiritual strength neared the ring, it suddenly emitted a bright golden light. Those mysterious symbols suddenly sparkled, and the circle of invisible golden light that wrapped around the outer layer of the ring also suddenly emitted a powerful aura. It actually repelled Xiao Yan's spiritual strength. Moreover, what was different from an ordinary storage ring was that the rebounding force of this ring actually possessed a portion of destructive power. If Xiao Yan's spiritual strength was not strong enough, it was likely that he would have been injured. Sensing this point, Xiao Yan could not help but gently raise his eyebrows. A surprised expression appeared on his face. He did not expect that this ring actually possessed such a domineering ability. It was indeed worthy of being the work of a formation master. This kind of ability was something that an alchemist did not possess. As this thought flashed across his mind, Xiao Yan lifted his eyes and once again landed on the milky white ring in front of him. From the rebounding force of this ring, it was not difficult to tell that there should be some kind of extremely valuable item within this ring. In order to open this ring, a special method was required. Unfortunately, following Su Songming's death, the method used to open this ring naturally did not exist. Now, if Xiao Yan wanted to open this ring, the best method was to forcefully break the formation that wrapped around the outer layer of the ring. As he thought of this, the corners of Xiao Yan's mouth involuntarily curled into a cold smile. Although the defense of this formation was not bad, with the powerful spiritual strength of a rank 3 alchemist, Xiao Yan was still unable to block Xiao Yan. On this point, Xiao Yan had absolute confidence. Based on Xiao Yan's guess, with just this formation alone, he would only need 2 or 3 spiritual collisions to forcefully break it open. At that time, everything within this ring would naturally appear in front of Xiao Yan. Narrowing his eyes, a fierce glint flashed across his pitch-black eyes. Immediately after, Xiao Yan spread out his palm and placed the milky white ring in the empty space in front of him. With a thought, the soul pearl between his eyebrows suddenly trembled violently. Immediately, a huge amount of spiritual strength rapidly gushed out from his mind like a storm. The invisible energy wrapped around the ring in front of him. Under the powerful spiritual strength undulations, the invisible space immediately surged. The huge amount of spiritual strength crazily condensed under Xiao Yan's control. The originally invisible spiritual strength also gradually solidified under this crazy condensation. In the end, it turned into 3 substantial drills that followed Xiao Yan's thoughts and fiercely struck the ring from 3 different directions. Buzz! Immediately, a buzzing sound that caused one's soul to feel a piercing pain spread out. In an instant, the entire room that Xiao Yan was in shook. If not for Xiao Yan stopping it, it was likely that the buzzing sound alone would have caused quite a number of people in the Feng clan to suffer injuries that would be difficult to recover from. However, under this huge commotion, the originally sparkling golden light on the surface of the milky white ring suddenly dimmed by quite a bit. Just as Xiao Yan had expected, this ring was still unable to easily withstand the spiritual strength attack of a rank 3 alchemist. The smile on the corner of Xiao Yan's mouth became even denser when he saw this scene. At the same time, the expression on his face became even sharper. A thought passed through his heart and the 3 spiritual drills once again heavily smashed into the ring. Buzz! The collision once again caused the ring to suddenly tremble. The formation that was agglomerated on the exterior of the ring also swiftly dimmed. Before the buzzing sound disappeared, Xiao Yan once again controlled the 3 drill bits and heavily smashed them onto the surface of the ring, which was trembling intensely. Bang! The dim array instantly exploded, and the distorted golden talismans on the ring also dimmed. After doing this, Xiao Yan once again smiled. Without any hesitation, a portion of his spiritual strength also poured into the milky white ring in front of him as the 3 spiritual drills scattered. As the scene in front of Xiao Yan's eyes suddenly changed, Xiao Yan's mind also entered the space within the ring. The first thing that entered his eyes was a dazzling golden light. Under this golden light, Xiao Yan's eyes subconsciously narrowed. A few breaths later, he finally slowly lifted his eyes and looked at the space in front of him. The entire space was much narrower than Xiao Yan had expected. At the very most, it was similar to the storage space of a middle-grade storage ring. A storage ring of this size was basically useless to the current Xiao Yan. However, since this ring was carried around by Su Songming, Xiao Yan believed that it was not as useless as it looked. Sure enough, just as Xiao Yan's eyes scanned the interior of this space, the space in front of Xiao Yan began to distort without any warning. Seeing this, Xiao Yan's face did not reveal any panic. He calmly waited for the change in the space in front of him. After a short few breaths, the distorted space in front of Xiao Yan finally gradually stabilized. At this moment, the thing that appeared in front of Xiao Yan was not an actual object. Instead, it was a palm-sized illusory image. The illusory image was extremely solid. Other than the fact that it did not emit any aura, it looked just like an actual object. If it was not for the fact that one could not detect its aura, it was likely that one would have mistaken it for an actual object. This is... Looking at the image in front of him, Xiao Yan's face was filled with suspicion as he frowned. His eyes stared intently at the object in front of him. His heart was filled with shock and astonishment. He really did not expect that there would actually be such an object on this continent. At this moment, what appeared in front of Xiao Yan was a flower with 6 petals. The entire flower was wrapped in a pure snow-white color. The whiteness was so pure that one could not bear to touch it. It was as though one was afraid of tarnishing it. Only at the core of the flower were there thumb-sized purple dots that decorated the entire flower. It was like adding flowers to brocade, causing it to appear even more pure and pleasant. The 6 petals were like trumpets that opened outwards. It seemed as though it wanted to embrace the entire world, yet it also seemed as though it wanted to embrace the entire world. It looked rather majestic. Just from the appearance of this flower was definitely an extraordinary object. Of course, with Xiao Yan's experience, even though he had never seen it with his own eyes, Xiao Yan had some understanding of this flower from countless ancient books. However, the only thing that Xiao Yan did not dare to confirm at this moment was why this flower had 6 petals. Fusong flower. Xiao Yan solemnly stared at the flower in front of him. His brows were tightly knitted together. It was only after a long time that he spoke with a somewhat uncertain tone. Calm. Wonderful Book House. Chapter 856. Fusong flower. It is really unexpected that there is actually a Fusong flower in this world. Don't tell me. Xiao Yan's body was stunned as he stood in the same spot within the space of the ring. Both of his eyes stared at the image of the 6-petal flower in the empty space in front of him. A great storm had formed in his heart. Xiao Yan had never expected that he would actually see the Fusong flower in this place. The Fusong flower. If this was placed on the Doqi continent, it was something that had already disappeared for an unknown number of years. It had already been called extinct and was a divine object that could no longer be found in this world. Yet now, this thing that could be called extinct had actually appeared in front of Xiao Yan. Even though this was merely an image, it still caused one to have difficulty hiding the shock and excitement in one's heart. The Fusong flower grew from the Fusong ancient spirit tree. It was one of the rare treasures in this world. The appearance of this flower would definitely cause an uproar in the continent. Of course, this was unless the news could truly spread. Normally speaking, this kind of situation was completely impossible. This was because the moment the Fusong flower appeared, the Fusong flower would be fought over by everyone within a short period of time. Before the news could spread, the Fusong flower would have already fallen into someone's hands and disappeared. The Fusong ancient spirit tree, along with the Bodhisattva ancient tree and the blood parasol tree, were called the 3 great divine trees in this world. Even the ginseng ancient tree could not compare with them. In the past, Xiao Yan had seen information related to the Fusong ancient spirit tree in many ancient books. All of the ancient books clearly stated that the Fusong flower had 5 petals. However, the Fusong flower that had appeared in front of Xiao Yan at this moment was very different from what Xiao Yan knew. It was a 6-petal Fusong flower. This was also one of the reasons why Xiao Yan did not dare to confirm the identity of this flower for a long time. Why would the Fusong flower appear in this ring? After recovering, Xiao Yan once again placed his attention on the most important point. Why would the image of the Fusong flower appear in this ring? Why would it allow Su Songming to carry this ring around with him? Could it be the location of the hibiscus flower is hidden in this ring? Xiao Yan seemed to have suddenly thought of something. His pair of pitch-black eyes suddenly lit up, and the surprise in his heart could not be any greater. If that was the case, then as long as he followed the guidance of the ring and obtained the hibiscus flower, wouldn't he have picked up a great opportunity for nothing? The ancient Fusong spirit tree was as famous as the Bodhi ancient tree, or even surpassed it. Naturally, it had its own advantages. Unlike the Bodhi ancient tree's ability to help people make breakthroughs, the greatest characteristic of the ancient Fusong spirit tree was that it contained an extremely large amount of spiritual strength. This kind of spiritual strength was accumulated over countless years. The Fusong flower and the ancient Fusong spirit tree naturally contained an extremely pure and large amount of spiritual strength. Therefore, the Fusong flower was undoubtedly the most precious treasure to alchemists and formation masters. As long as one could obtain a Fusong flower, it would mean that one's spiritual strength would soar. At that time, not only would it bring about an increase in one's strength, but even one's status would also rise qualitatively. At that time, countless powerful factions would be moved. Powerful sects and factions would also extend an olive branch or even lower themselves to invite one. Of course, if one was able to join the Pill Tower, it would undoubtedly bring about even greater glory. Everyone would have to be courteous when they walked the continent in the name of the Pill Tower. To an ordinary alchemist, this represented supreme glory. Of course, this did not attract Xiao Yan. After taking in a deep breath, Xiao Yan focused his attention. His gaze once again looked at the image of the Fusong flower in front of him. His heart was filled with surprise. Other than that, he was even more curious. If it was just an image, it would not allow Xiao Yan to find the Fusong flower. Xiao Yan could not help but frown slightly when he thought of this. Just as Xiao Yan's heart was filled with suspicion, the Fusong flower in front of him once again began to distort. Xiao Yan's eyes focused. He frowned and stared intently at the Fusong flower that was gradually distorting. His throat rolled slightly and he could not help but become nervous. He hoped that the Fusong flower in front of him would live up to his expectations. Following the gradual distortion of space, the original six-petal flower, the pure beauty of the hibiscus flower, had already become deformed in the blink of an eye. Not only had it lost its original appearance, but even the shadow of a flower could not be seen. However, Xiao Yan became even more focused during this short and anxious wait. His gaze stared intently at the distorted space in front of him. Without realizing it, Xiao Yan seemed to have seen some pattern following the direction in which the flower was distorted. Perhaps it could be said that it was some other object. This time, it was not an illusion but a real entity. After a dozen breaths, Xiao Yan wiped the sweat that had gushed out from his forehead. The space that was constantly distorting in front of him stabilized again. This time, what appeared in front of Xiao Yan was a special name card that was the size of a palm. The overall structure of the name card looked similar to Xiao Yan's alchemist president's name card. They were both made of special metal. The only difference was that there were many talismans engraved on this name card. That was the symbol of an array master. On the back of this name card, the words "Glorious Gold" were written clearly and deeply. Glorious Gold? Xiao Yan muttered softly. He seemed to have seen these two words somewhere before. Immediately after, Xiao Yan seemed to have thought of something. He flipped his palm and a leather map appeared in his hand. After a quick check, Xiao Yan immediately found the place related to the words, Glorious Gold. Glorious Gold City. Xiao Yan frowned slightly, feeling a little surprised in his heart. Glorious Gold City was the gathering place of array masters in the western region. Judging from this name card, would the Fusong flower appear there? Alchemists had their own alchemist guild, and array masters naturally had their own territory. It was just that it was not as large as the alchemists. This Glorious Gold City happened to be the gathering place of array masters in the western region. Suddenly, the empty space in front of Xiao Yan once again became distorted while his heart was feeling surprised at the location of the hibiscus flower. Xiao Yan hurriedly grabbed the name card in front of him as a precaution. After which, he focused his attention and looked at it. However, The result that Xiao Yan saw caused the longing in his heart to swiftly reduce by over half. The space in front of him was distorted. After a long while, the result was a row of words. The general content had already explained that the Fusong flower was in Jinyao City. However, if he wanted to obtain it, he would have to obtain it by auction at the Jinyao City auction that would be held 3 months later. Chapter 857. In the end, Xiao Yan helplessly withdrew his spiritual strength from the ring. At the same time, he also took out the name card. That could be considered the most useful and also the most useless thing that Xiao Yan had obtained this time. Although he had found the Fusong flower, it might not be his in the end. Although he knew its location, he could not touch it. It was likely that there was nothing more unbearable than this. However, having news was better than nothing. Everything was still early. No one knew who the Fusong flower would belong to until the very last moment. With a little hope in his heart, Xiao Yan inhaled a deep breath and smiled slightly. Immediately, his body moved, leaped off the bed, and walked out of the door. Since Xiao Yan's matter was temporarily over, there was no need to rush to the ancient tomb of Tianju. There was no harm in going to Jinyao City to give it a try. After all, it was a place where the experts of the western region gathered. Regardless of whether it was for Xiao Yan's own experience or strength, it would more or less be of some help. He would naturally not easily miss it. After exiting the door, Xiao Yan had just closed the door and turned around. However, in the next moment, his body suddenly jumped and he involuntarily took half a step back. He raised his eyes and saw that Feng Ruyan was standing in front of him. Until just now, Xiao Yan had been wholeheartedly thinking about the Fusong flower and did not notice that there was actually someone outside the door. The sudden appearance of the young lady had almost caused Xiao Yan to activate the Do Qi in his body. Once that happened, Xiao Yan could not help but be a little worried about the consequences. When Feng Ruyan saw that Xiao Yan was startled, a panicked expression involuntarily surged onto her face. She was just about to open her mouth to inquire when Xiao Yan's gaze shot over, causing her to involuntarily lower her head. At the same time, Xiao Yan also recovered from the fright from the previous moment. He helplessly curled his lips and his heart palpitated as he swept his gaze over the slightly rising and falling chest of the young lady. At such a close distance, Xiao Yan was just a little taller than Xiao Yan. Hence, the moment Xiao Yan raised his head, the young lady's chest was completely reflected in Xiao Yan's eyes. Immediately, Xiao Yan's old face could not help but turn red. He habitually rubbed his nose with his hand and coughed twice. Only then did Xiao Yan ask, "Miss Feng, is there something that you are looking for me?" Ruyan does not dare. "It is my father who asked me to invite you to attend a family banquet in our family." Hearing Xiao Yan's words, Feng Ruyan hurriedly and respectfully bowed. The words from her mouth appeared to be unusually respectful. If it was before Xiao Yan killed those few elite Do Di, Feng Ruyan would still dare to be angry with him. Now that she had witnessed Xiao Yan's strength, she would definitely not dare to mess around with Xiao Yan even if she was given a lot of courage. Otherwise, once the latter was angered, it was likely that she would not be the only one to suffer a calamity. "Oh, a family banquet, huh? It seems a little illogical for me to attend such a banquet." Xiao Yan frowned slightly. A family banquet was a banquet that only members of the same family could attend. This kind of banquet was especially valued within a family. Anyone who was not from the family would not be allowed to attend, much less be invited. What was the purpose of Feng Cheng's actions? "Sir, there is no need to be so polite. You have saved our entire Feng family. Father and the few elders have long treated you as one of our family. Moreover, my father has also said that if Sir Xiao Yan is not present today, the family banquet will definitely not begin." Appearing to be afraid that Xiao Yan would reject, Feng Ruyan said quite a bit in one breath. These words caused Xiao Yan to be somewhat speechless. Putting it this way, he did not even have a reason to reject. It seemed that this family banquet was not prepared for the members of the Feng family. Instead, it was a Hongmen banquet for him. Thinking of this in his heart, a glint immediately flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes. However, he parted his mouth and smiled immediately. "All right then. Since the head of the Feng family has invited me so graciously, it would be somewhat impolite if I did not go. Let's go." Xiao Yan laughed out loud. His body moved. Under the guidance of his spiritual strength, he took the lead and walked toward the place where everyone from the Feng family was gathered. Feng Ruyan followed behind him. That's right, Just as he took his first step, before his second step landed, Xiao Yan suddenly turned around. This gave the young lady behind him a fright. She took 2 steps back. Then Xiao Yan smiled and said, "It's better if you don't call me Lord. It's quite awkward to hear you call me that. Just call me by my name." After speaking, without waiting for the young lady to regain her senses, Xiao Yan took the lead and quickly walked toward the place where the members of the Fong family were gathered. Behind him, the young lady's cheeks were red as she muttered Xiao Yan's name. Then, she hurriedly followed behind. After a short period of time, Xiao Yan and Feng Ruyan arrived at the place where the members of the Fong family were gathered. This was the usual drill ground of the Fong family. However, today, it was the place where the family banquet was held. When everyone present saw the late Xiao Yan, everyone immediately stood up and faced Xiao Yan. Even Feng Cheng and the elders of the Fong family at the front of the crowd stood up and faced Xiao Yan. Then, everyone respectfully greeted Xiao Yan in unison. Seeing this, Xiao Yan's heart could not help but be shocked. The actions of these people really made him feel overwhelmed. After returning the greetings one by one, Xiao Yan took large strides forward with Feng Ruyan behind him. Together, they arrived at Feng Cheng's side. At this place, seats had already been prepared for the two of them. They just so happened to be on the left and right of Feng Cheng. After Xiao Yan sat down, the one on the left was Yuan Qing. It was only after Xiao Yan sat down that the other people present also took their seats one after another. Haha, Sir Xiao Yan, this banquet should have been prepared long ago. However, Sir Xiao Yan has been in seclusion for half a month. We were also afraid of disturbing Sir, so we never started. Now that Sir Xiao Yan has arrived, we can be considered to be all present. Ha! Sitting beside Xiao Yan, Feng Cheng smiled as he faced Xiao Yan. At the same time, he raised his wine cup and faced Xiao Yan and downed it in a single gulp as an apology. After that, Yuan Qing and the few elders of the Feng family, and even Feng Ruyan, were unable to avoid it. Very quickly, Xiao Yan and the few people beside him began to chat together. This was especially true for Feng Cheng. His 3 sentences did not leave Xiao Yan, while his 2 sentences were like that of Ruyan. His words always jumped between Xiao Yan and Ruyan, causing one to not know if he was truly drunk or if he was doing it on purpose. Xiao Yan's heart was filled with suspicion as he listened. During this time, he continuously frowned and his gaze would occasionally look towards Yuan Qing. Seeing this, the latter awkwardly smiled but did not say anything. At this moment, even Feng Ruyan's pretty face had turned completely red from what Xiao Yan had said. It was unknown whether it was because she had drunk wine or because of some other reason. However, the pair of pretty eyes which she used to look at Xiao Yan involuntarily revealed an autumn feeling. Calm. Wonderful Book House. Chapter 858. Haha, little friend Xiao Yan. I have to thank little friend Xiao Yan for saving my daughter in Wuyu City last time. That's why my daughter was able to come back alive. Feng Cheng seemed to be really drunk. His face was flushed, and his face was filled with a blurry smile. His expression was blurry. He put one hand on Xiao Yan's shoulder, and raised the wine cup in his other hand, sending it to Xiao Yan's mouth. Ah, it's just a small matter. It's not worth mentioning. That day's matter was just something I did in passing. Patriarch Feng doesn't need to be polite. Xiao Yan looked at the latter with a calm expression. Then he suddenly smiled, took the wine from the latter's hand, and drank it all in one gulp. Ha ha ha, good. Little friend Xiao Yan has guts. Seeing this, the smile on Feng Cheng's face suddenly became a little thicker. He directly hugged Xiao Yan's shoulder, and took advantage of his drunkenness to laugh loudly. Little friend Xiao Yan should also know that I, Feng Cheng, only have this one precious daughter. I'm afraid she'll fall in my hands, and I'm afraid she'll melt in my mouth. I've always carefully taken care of her, afraid that something will happen to this girl. These years, this girl has grown up. This clan won't be able to hold her back sooner or later. The little guy who could only survive under Old Eagle's protection is now able to stand on his own. Speaking until here, Feng Cheng's face couldn't help but reveal a gratified expression. Logically speaking, this time, the clan has encountered a great disaster. I don't want her to come back. I don't want this girl to enter the tiger's den. Just like what I'm worried about, if it wasn't for little friend Xiao Yan from Wuyu City's Jinggu, I'm afraid that not only would something happen to my daughter, but even the current Feng clan would no longer exist. When he spoke until this point, Fong Qing appeared to have instantly become much more clear-headed. The expression on his face became somewhat melancholy. Soon after, he hugged Xiao Yan's shoulders and began to laugh out loud in a muddle-headed manner. His topic also continued to revolve around Xiao Yan and Feng Ruyan. Haha, I wonder what little friend Xiao Yan thinks about my daughter's cultivation? Suddenly, Feng Cheng seemed to inadvertently ask about Feng Ruyan's cultivation. Hearing this, Xiao Yan was slightly startled. After pondering for a moment, he smiled and said, "Young Miss Feng is able to reach the cultivation of a 7-star half-martial emperor at such a young age. Even in the continent, this is rarely seen. It can be said that young Miss Feng's cultivation speed is extremely astonishing. If she were to be placed in the Shilin region, she would be able to protect a region." Words of praise were spat out, and the smile on Feng Cheng's face became even more pronounced. After Feng Ruyan, who was beside him, heard Xiao Yan's words, her pretty face couldn't help but blush. Haha, for my daughter to be able to win such praise from little friend Xiao Yan, it's truly a great fortune. Ha ha ha. Several people laughed heartily. Xiao Yan also followed suit. However, he was somewhat suspicious in his heart. What was the purpose of Feng Cheng's words? Little friend Xiao Yan, you've saved my Feng clan from calamity, and even saved my daughter's life. My Feng clan is unable to repay such a great kindness. However, if it's possible, I don't mind letting my daughter follow by little friend Xiao Yan's side and take care of you. This can be considered. Clan head Feng, you've said so much. It can't be just for this sentence, right? However, just as Feng Cheng drunkenly hugged Xiao Yan's shoulders and spoke with a mouthful of words, Xiao Yan suddenly stood up. His expression was slightly ugly as he pushed away Feng Cheng, who was pressing down on him. A hint of coldness emerged on his originally calm face at this moment. When Xiao Yan's words came out, not only Feng Cheng, but even the bodies of the other people present suddenly shook. An indescribable chill swiftly rose from the bottom of everyone's hearts. Numerous gazes also looked towards Xiao Yan in succession. To one side, Yuan Qing also stood up at this moment with an ugly expression. His old face carried a helpless expression. Originally, he wanted to open his mouth to say something. However, in the end, he let out a deep sigh, lowered his head and shut his mouth without saying anything. At this instant, Feng Cheng, who originally appeared to be drunk and hazy, also instantly returned to sobriety. The redness on his face swiftly faded away, and the state of his entire person also recovered its usual calmness. However, at this moment, the gaze he used to look at Xiao Yan was somewhat evasive. Perhaps, everything he had said just now did not come from the bottom of his heart. However, for the clan, he had no choice but to say it. If he was able to connect the clan behind him to this young man in front of him, the Feng clan would definitely not be limited to this small Helan city in the future. However, he did not expect that Xiao Yan would actually reject in such a decisive manner. Moreover, from the looks of it, Xiao Yan's attitude was abnormally firm. From the looks of it, his Feng clan had been too rash in today's matter. He could only blame himself for such an outcome. He had only thought of the clan behind him and did not consider the thoughts of the black-robed young man in front of him. Who knew what thoughts Xiao Yan had in his heart? Huff! After letting out a long breath, Xiao Yan shot a glance at Yuan Qing beside him. His body moved and he silently left this place. After that, everyone present was completely silent. Not a single sound could be heard. Everyone held their breaths tightly as they sent off Xiao Yan with their gazes. Everyone's hearts were especially nervous, afraid of angering this lord. At the same time, when they looked at their own clan head again, their eyes involuntarily revealed bewilderment. Just what had Feng Cheng done to make Xiao Yan's attitude change so abruptly? In an instant, the atmosphere became heavy. It was as if there was a huge rock pressing down on everyone's heart. The formless aura that gushed out from Xiao Yan's body caused them to be unable to breathe. When everyone had relaxed, Feng Cheng's body softened. He sat back on the chair with a heart full of regret. His eyes were lifeless as he looked at the wine cup in front of him. His heart was filled with deep regret. His actions just now might have pushed this future expert of the Western region far away. Seeing Xiao Yan leave, Yuan Qing hesitated for a moment before standing up. He found Feng Cheng and patted the latter's shoulder with his palm as a form of consolation. After giving some instructions, he left to find Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan quietly stood at the side of a pond. A thick willow tree grew beside him. Its soft willow branches fell into the pond and swayed with the wind, creating circles of ripples on the surface of the water. Xiao Yan watched the pool water in front of him. The dark blue sky was reflected within it. A few white clouds danced under the ripples, appearing like a young lady dancing gracefully, causing one's imagination to run wild. Mr. Xiao Yan, Feng Cheng didn't do it on purpose just now. He's just drunk. You and I both know in our hearts whether or not he's drunk. Actually, I don't care. I didn't call you here to talk about this matter. It's only because I'm leaving. Xiao Yan's gaze still didn't leave the water surface as he slowly spoke. Suddenly, he saw a leaf slowly fall from the willow branch on the water surface. It floated in the water and gradually flowed away with the ripples. Mr. Xiao Yan is leaving? Where are you going? Yuan Qing furrowed his brows. His forward step involuntarily paused. He had come to the western region in order to find Xiao Yan. However, the latter had come and left in a hurry. After a short reunion, the two had to part again. Jinyao City. An auction will be held there in 3 months. I must go. Seeing the willow leaf fall to the bottom of the pond, Xiao Yan turned around and looked at Yuan Qing behind him as he slowly spoke. Then your actions just now. Yuan Qing was flabbergasted. Although Feng Cheng's words were somewhat rash, with Xiao Yan's temperament, he shouldn't have done so. However, if it was said that Xiao Yan did it on purpose, it might make some sense. After all, the Feng clan is an individual. I can't always stay in the Feng clan. They also can't rely on others. I can't help them with anything. The only thing I can do is perhaps to leave. Only in this way can they truly realize what they need, and not always think of borrowing the strength of others. The things obtained from the Wang clan's treasury are enough for the Feng clan to greatly increase their strength in a short period of time. It's more than enough to expand their influence. As for me, it's time to do what I want to do. Chapter 859. On the same day, Xiao Yan left Helan City. Yuan Qing personally watched as Xiao Yan left. Yuan Qing didn't plan to travel with Xiao Yan for the rest of the journey. With the strength of a 4-star Do-D, it was likely that he would only become a burden if he followed beside Xiao Yan. After all, others might not be aware, but he was aware that those people from the ghost hall, who were neither human nor ghost, were constantly watching Xiao Yan. In the evening, Yuan Qing returned to the Feng clan and met Feng Cheng in the clan's conference hall. When the two brothers met, the atmosphere was somewhat solemn. Mr. Xiao Yan, he left. He said he had other things to do, so he had to leave. Could it be because of me? It's not because of you, and it's not because of the Feng clan. It's just that he really needs to leave. What he did during the day was actually just to make you feel afraid. Only by doing this, perhaps the Feng clan will understand that outsiders can't be relied on. If you want to be strong, you can only rely on your own strength. Feng Cheng's expression froze. He couldn't help but feel astonished. This is what Xiao Yan said. It's also the only thing he can help you with. Feng Cheng tightly knitted his brows, his expression extremely gloomy. Indeed, the moment Xiao Yan stood up, he felt an incomparable pressure. That kind of strength was really hard for him to bear. Even the entire Feng clan couldn't compare. Once Xiao Yan was truly angry, there was absolutely no one in the Feng clan who could stop him. At that moment, everyone in the Feng clan felt alarmed. They had no choice but to gather together to resist that power. At this moment, they clearly realized their own insignificance, and also clearly understood the cohesion of a clan. Xiao Yan's actions might turn him into an evil person, but at the very least, he had already done his best to help the Feng clan. Sometimes, what a clan needed wasn't endless resources, but their desire to become stronger, as well as the trust and support between the clan members. While the two of them were conversing, they did not notice that outside the meeting hall, Feng Ruyan was gently biting her red lips. A complicated expression surfaced in her beautiful eyes. It was a long while later before she quietly left. At the same time, Xiao Yan was on his way to Jinyao City. The night was long. Xiao Yan headed west and followed the directions on the map. It was likely that he would be able to reach the location of Jinyao City in half a month's time. Additionally, according to the map, the location of the Tianju ancient tomb was located in an even deeper part of the western wasteland region. Xiao Yan's direction could not be considered going in the opposite direction. The journey would take half a month. Therefore, Xiao Yan was not in a hurry. Instead, he diverted a portion of his attention to the 9 incarnations. From the 7 storage rings, Xiao Yan also obtained a lot of medium spirit stones, which were undoubtedly of great benefit to the improvement of the cultivation of the 9 incarnations. As for the 10 medium spirit stones that Xiao Yan had obtained earlier, they had already been used up. As the strength of the incarnations increased, Xiao Yan also discovered to his surprise that the energy requirement of the incarnations was increasing. Even the medium spirit stones could no longer satisfy the cultivation of the incarnations. Now, in Xiao Yan's storage ring, there were a total of 54 medium spirit stones. Except for the 14 that Xiao Yan kept as backup, the remaining 40 were used by Xiao Yan to improve the cultivation of the incarnations. Of course, under such a crazy devouring, the results obtained by the 9 incarnations also made Xiao Yan quite satisfied. At night, the resplendent Milky Way washed the pitch-black night sky, and the fluorescence emitted by the endless starlight intertwined and condensed, illuminating the dark ground below. Coupled with the huge silver moon, it was like the sun at night, driving away the darkness of this land. At the peak of the mountain, Xiao Yan sat cross-legged. Powerful soul power continuously flowed out from between his eyebrows and entered the bodies of the 9 incarnations around him. At this moment, the 9 incarnations were also crazily devouring and refining a spirit stone in their arms. Judging from the energy contained in the spirit stones, these spirit stones were actually medium spirit stones. After nearly half a month of hurrying and training, 18 of the 40 spirit stones had already been used up. Now, the radiance on these 9 spirit stones were rapidly dimming. It was likely that before today, these 9 medial-grade spirit stones would turn into nothing. In less than half a month, 27 medium spirit stones had been consumed. This was equivalent to half of the total number of medium spirit stones that Xiao Yan possessed. Under this crazy refining, the cultivations of the 9 incarnations had broken through to the middle level of the 4-star Do D class. Currently, they were advancing toward the advanced level of the 4-star Do D class. However, it was unknown whether the cultivations of the 9 incarnations would be able to reach the advanced level of the 4-star Do D class before the 9 spirit stones were completely consumed. Xiao Yan became even crazier as he carried the longing in his heart. The spiritual strength within the soul bead in his mind surged out and controlled the 9 incarnations to wildly refine the spirit stones at an even faster speed. Time flowed by bit by bit. A paleness involuntarily surfaced on Xiao Yan's face. Threads of perspiration rolled down from his forehead. Time also rolled further and further away. Unknowingly, the eastern sky gradually brightened. The silver moon consciously hid its body. The bright Milky Way had long since disappeared. A night had passed. At this moment, the weak light on the 9 spirit stones in the 9 incarnations' hands had completely disappeared. The last thread of energy was absorbed into the bodies of the incarnations. Damn it! It is still not enough. Even until now, the cultivations of the 9 incarnations had yet to break through to the advanced level of the 4-star Do D class. This involuntarily caused Xiao Yan to curse in his heart. A thought passed through his mind and he attempted to withdraw the 9 incarnations. However, it was at this moment that, buzz 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 buzz, a white light suddenly flickered within the bodies of the 9 incarnations. Soon after, the auras within the bodies of the 9 incarnations suddenly rose. In the blink of an eye, the middle level of the 4-star Do D class had all broken through to the advanced level of the 4-star Do D class. The last thread of energy within the spirit stones had caused the cultivation of the 9 incarnations to successfully reach the advanced level of the 4-star Do D class. At this moment, a pleasantly surprised smile finally appeared on Xiao Yan's face. After confirming that the cultivation of the 9 incarnations was correct, a thought passed through his mind and he withdrew the 9 incarnations into his body. Almost at the same time, Xiao Yan's pale face rapidly recovered. After a slight adjustment, Xiao Yan finally stood up from his cross-legged position. He looked toward the west and the corner of his mouth curled into a smile. At this moment, on the horizon to the west of Xiao Yan, there was a majestic ancient city covered in golden light standing proudly on the vast land. That was the destination of Xiao Yan's trip. Jinyao City. Chapter 860. Jinyao City was located in the southwest region of the Western Wasteland region. Although the area was barren, it was precisely because of the environment that the people who lived here were usually more powerful. At a glance, the weakest person in the entire city had already reached the level of a 5-star half-emperor. Compared to some of the cities in the Shilin region, Jinyao City was undoubtedly much more powerful. The most eye-catching thing about Jinyao City wasn't that the cultivations of the people here were generally powerful. Instead, it was because this was the world of formation masters. In the Yuanwu continent, alchemists weren't the only occupation that relied on powerful spiritual strength. Other than that, the existence of formation masters was also extremely frightening. Although the influence of formation masters wasn't as large as that of alchemists, which could be found all over the continent and even become the strongest superpower in the entire Yuanwu continent, the uniqueness of formation masters made them a powerful occupation in the cultivation world. If alchemists were known for their ability to save lives, then formation masters were known for their ruthlessness and dominance. Apart from the forces of heaven and earth, their offensive power could be said to be the strongest among all humans and magical beasts. Therefore, although there seemed to be a large number of half-emperors in Jinyao City, in front of some powerful formation masters, even a Dou-Di might not be able to fight them. On the horizon, Xiao Yan's figure quickly approached the city that was covered in golden light. In just a short moment, Xiao Yan had already landed in front of the majestic city gate. At a glance, the city wall in front of Xiao Yan was covered in mysterious talismans that densely covered the entire city wall. The golden light that covered the sky above Jinyao City was emitted from the countless golden talismans. As he approached the city, even though he hadn't personally arrived at the foot of the city wall, Xiao Yan could already feel an extremely powerful pressure coming toward him. The invisible pressure caused his footsteps to involuntarily stop. It was as if there was an invisible wall in front of him that forcefully stopped him. What a powerful formation! The spot where Xiao Yan's feet landed on the ground involuntarily caved in and formed an inch-deep footprint. At the same time, the expression on Xiao Yan's face involuntarily changed. A formation that could cause a 5-star Dou-Di to feel pressured. This Jinyao City was indeed worthy of being the gathering place of formation masters. Xiao Yan's body shook slightly. The black robe on the surface of his body also trembled. The originally black-colored long robe appeared to have become even purer at this moment. At the same time, the pressure on Xiao Yan's shoulder also suddenly disappeared at this moment. The moment his body became light, Xiao Yan's forward footsteps naturally became much faster. On the other hand, those people around Xiao Yan all stood in their original spots with heavy expressions under this pressure. From the looks of it, if they did not get used to it within a short period of time, it was likely that they would have difficulty taking the next step. Ignoring the surprised gazes around him, Xiao Yan's footsteps slowly walked forward in a relaxed manner. Very quickly, he arrived at the foot of the city gate. At this place, the surrounding crowd had also increased. At the city gate, there were a couple of middle-aged men wearing golden robes. In each of their hands, there was a palm-sized formation plate. Every time a person walked in front of them, they would extend the formation plate. The pedestrians entering the city would also consciously take out 10 spirit stones from their storage rings. After a flash on the formation plate, the spirit stones were all absorbed into it. Is it the entrance fee again? Xiao Yan gently raised his eyebrows. A strange expression involuntarily surfaced in his eyes. However, he understood after thinking about it in his heart. This Jinyao City was protected by a formation all year round. The operation of the formation would definitely require the support of a large number of spirit stones. The amount of spirit stones that would be exhausted in a year was definitely not a small amount. The source of such a large amount of spirit stones would definitely be the most important question. Collecting a fee to enter the city was undoubtedly the best method. After thinking about this point in his heart, Xiao Yan smiled and nodded. In this way, this Jinyao City was undoubtedly much more humane than Jingu in Wuyu City. However, just as the front line was about to reach Xiao Yan, a middle-aged man wearing a golden robe among the crowd at the back rudely pushed back the passers-by around him and rushed straight to the front of the line. Humph, if you want to enter the city, get out of my way. A rude and unreasonable reprimand was emitted from the middle-aged man's mouth. The passers-by around him also furrowed their brows and unwillingly made way. Some of the hot-tempered fellows, who had just revealed an angry expression, swiftly withdrew when they saw the golden-colored long robe that this fellow was wearing. Moreover, a fearful expression surged as they retreated hatefully. In the blink of an eye, the path in front of the middle-aged man was quickly cleared to allow only one person to pass through. Even the people who were standing in front of Xiao Yan at this moment also moved away. Turning his head, Xiao Yan glanced at the man in the golden robe who was rushing over quickly. He frowned in his heart, hesitated for a moment, then moved his feet and was about to make way. Where did this little bastard come from? Dare to block my way? Get out of my way. However, just as Xiao Yan was about to dodge, the middle-aged man had already arrived behind him. Seeing that Xiao Yan actually did not make way, the man in the golden robe immediately let out a disdainful snort. At the same time, he waved his sleeve and a surge of dou qi instantly shot out from his sleeve. It turned into a sharp dou qi pillar that instantly tore through the empty space in front of him and ruthlessly cut towards Xiao Yan's head. Such a sharp attack caused the expressions of the surrounding passers-by to change drastically. Although this fellow was overbearing, it must be said that he had the capital to be overbearing. Just from this powerful aura, the cultivation of this man in the golden robe had likely reached the level of a 2-star dou di. Although this kind of strength could not be considered the strongest in Jinyao City, there were very few people who could compare with him. However, just as the man in the golden robe was about to attack Xiao Yan, the latter's body, which was originally about to dodge, was firmly fixed on the spot. His feet, which were just half an inch from the ground, once again landed. Xiao Yan frowned slightly. His expression was somewhat gloomy. It was fine if this fellow only had a rotten mouth, but such a vicious method caused Xiao Yan to feel ashamed in his heart. Who could easily endure being treated in such a manner for no reason? Faced with such an attack, it was likely that an ordinary person would have difficulty surviving. The sharp dou qi pillar was swiftly magnified in Xiao Yan's eyes. On the other hand, Xiao Yan unhurriedly raised his hand and gently received the attack. The most shocking thing was that he did not even use a trace of dou qi. However, just as everyone was looking at Xiao Yan with pitiful gazes, the dou qi pillar violently collided with Xiao Yan's palm in the next instant. Bang! Chapter 861. Under the pitiful gazes of the surrounding crowd, that sharp dou qi pillar collided heavily with Xiao Yan's palm. You overestimate yourself. Seeing this scene, the golden-robed man's face could not help but reveal a mocking and disdainful cold smile. His body suddenly charged forward, seemingly intending to send Xiao Yan's body flying. However, the moment the golden-robed person charged forward, he clearly saw that the dou qi pillar, which should have penetrated Xiao Yan's hand along with his head, had instantly burst apart in Xiao Yan's hand. The strength that was created by the explosion did not even leave a superficial wound on Xiao Yan's hand. The golden-robed man's attack was actually so weak in Xiao Yan's hands. At this moment, even the faces of the surrounding passers-by revealed stunned expressions. Their gazes were filled with shock when they looked at Xiao Yan. Quickly following this, before everyone could recover, Xiao Yan's completely uninjured hand suddenly extended forward. A thought passed through his mind and a suction force wildly surged from his palm. It was like a storm that went against the flow. The strong suction force forcefully pulled the golden-robed man's body over. It was only at this moment that a feeling of fear suddenly surged into the golden-robed man's heart. No matter what, he did not expect that this seemingly young black-robed man would actually possess such a frightening strength. Xiao Yan's 5 fingers curled slightly and grabbed the latter's neck. A force gathered in his palm. As long as he was willing, Xiao Yan could easily crush the neck of the person in front of him. A mere 2-star dou di was not enough for Xiao Yan to take to heart. However, just as Xiao Yan was about to make his move, his gaze landed on the badge on the chest of the golden-robed man. The badge was circular and silver in color. There were many complicated talismans outlined on it, faintly forming the word formation. Formation Master? Sensing this, Xiao Yan could not help but frown slightly. After all, this Jinyao City was the territory of formation masters. He also knew that formation masters and alchemists did not get along well. Hence, he did not want to cause trouble here. Hence, when he faced the golden-robed man earlier, his first reaction was to avoid him. However, at this moment, Xiao Yan did not expect that the golden-robed man was actually a formation master. From the looks of it, his original intention had been unintentionally violated. Seeing Xiao Yan frown, the golden-robed man, whose face was currently red, seemed to have grabbed a life-saving straw. He violently clenched his teeth and roared with difficulty, "Brat, I am a member of Jinyao City's Formation Master Association. If you dare to touch me, the association will definitely—" "Did I allow you to speak?" Xiao Yan's expression became fierce. A sternness surged in his eyes as he stared at the golden-robed person. The latter's words that had yet to be uttered were instantly stopped upon seeing this. Both of his eyes revealed a deep terror. His gaze stared intently at the black-robed young man in front of him and did not dare to utter even the slightest word. "Mister." At this moment, The few golden-robed formation masters at the entrance of the city also noticed the situation on this side. Immediately, a middle-aged man who was the leader of the group hurriedly took a couple of steps forward and arrived in front of Xiao Yan. The first thing he did was to respectfully greet the latter. "What's the matter?" Xiao Yan's eyes flickered slightly. He naturally knew the reason why this guy came forward. "Mister, I apologize for his rude behavior just now. However, this is Jinyao City. The rules of the Formation Master Association do not allow any Formation Master to be hurt here. Hence, I hope you can be magnanimous and let him go." The middle-aged man looked at Xiao Yan fearlessly. When he spoke, he deliberately mentioned the Formation Master Association, as if he hoped to use this to suppress the person in front of him. However, Xiao Yan, who was frowning slightly when he heard the middle-aged man's words, smirked coldly when he heard the middle-aged man's words. "Haha, the rules of your Formation Master Association are a little overbearing. However, you have to see clearly that I am not within the boundaries of Jinyao City. Once I leave this city gate, whether this guy lives or dies has nothing to do with the Formation Master Association." The golden-robed man frowned and a look of displeasure appeared on his face. He did not expect that the person in front of him would still be so stubborn even after he mentioned the Formation Master Association. "Mister, please. In other words, even if I kill all of you now, the Formation Master Association still has nothing to do with me." The hand that Xiao Yan used to grab the neck of the person in his hand tightened slightly. The latter's originally flushed face became unusually flushed with blood. His pair of eyeballs rolled outwards. At the same time, Xiao Yan took half a step forward. An invisible pressure immediately spread out from his body. The golden-robed man in front of him was the first to bear the brunt of this pressure. He was forced to continuously retreat by this strong pressure. At the same time, the expression on the latter's face was unusually serious. "You? What do you want to do?" The golden-robed man's face was slightly pale as he stared at Xiao Yan. He looked as if he was gnashing his teeth and had completely lost the scholarly attitude from before. "Humph, I disdain killing a 2-star DoD. Since you want to save him, I'll return him to you." Xiao Yan let out a cold cry. The hand that was strangling the golden-robed man suddenly loosened. At the same time, he flipped his hand and slammed his palm on the golden-robed man's chest. Immediately, the latter's body flew back uncontrollably. Finally, he collided with the Formation Master. After finishing off these two people with one blow, Xiao Yan did not bother about them. He took a step forward and walked toward Jinyao City. "Stop! You have injured the Formation Master of Jinyao City. Jinyao City does not welcome you." "What a joke. It's just a city. Do you really think that you have the final say on who can enter or not?" Hearing the orders of the Formation Master, Xiao Yan coldly laughed. He took a big step forward and arrived directly below the main gate. He lifted his foot and walked into the city without stopping. Ha! In the next moment, the few surrounding Formation Masters emitted a stern cry in unison. A thought passed through their hearts and powerful spiritual strengths immediately surged out of their bodies. They intertwined with each other and agglomerated into an invisible sharp blade in the empty air that violently fell toward Xiao Yan. Spiritual strength, huh? Xiao Yan involuntarily raised his eyebrows when he sensed the spiritual strength that surged out from the bodies of the few people around him. He immediately let out a cold smile. A thought passed through his mind and an even more frightening spiritual storm suddenly swept out from between his brows when the sharp spiritual blade was about to land on Xiao Yan's head. Bas! The invisible spiritual storm was just like a gust of wild wind that instantly forced everyone around back. At the same time, the powerful storm instantly tore apart the spiritual blade that was formed by the combined efforts of a couple of Formation Masters with an unstoppable force. Chapter 862. The powerful spiritual strength was like an invisible storm that engulfed the city gate. The spiritual blade formed by the combined efforts of the 5 Formation Masters was like a thin piece of paper under this storm and was instantly torn to shreds. Such a battle result could only be described with the words crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. In the face of absolute power, numbers could not decide anything. The powerful spiritual storm not only tore the spiritual blade into shreds, but it also forced everyone within 100 feet of Xiao Yan to retreat. This was especially the case for the 5 Formation Masters who had attacked Xiao Yan earlier. At the same time that the powerful spiritual storm tore apart the sharp spiritual blades, it also heavily smashed into their chests. The bodies of the 5 people immediately appeared to have been struck by lightning as they flew back uncontrollably. After which, they smashed heavily into the wall. When they landed on the ground, everyone's faces had turned pale. A trace of blood flowed from the corner of their mouths. When they lifted their heads, their eyes were filled with fear and shock. Although the 5 of them were not considered powerful formation masters, they were still rank 2 formation masters. The spiritual strength that the 5 of them had gathered together was unbelievably powerful. However, it was still instantly torn apart by this black-robed young man in front of them. The spiritual strength that this person possessed had actually far surpassed theirs. Hua! At this moment, the faces of the surrounding passers-by also revealed a shocked expression. Originally, they thought that the strength of this black-robed young man's do-chi was already sufficient to cause people to feel shocked. However, they did not expect that his spiritual strength was actually this frightening. Just where did this black-robed young man come from? In an instant, the surrounding passers-by began to whisper. Their gazes occasionally glanced at the black-robed young man standing proudly in the middle of the square. Their eyes involuntarily surged with respect. This was respect for the strong. Such a large commotion at the city gate had naturally alarmed the people within Jinyao City. Following which, just as the crowd was making noise, an old man in a golden robe slowly descended from above the city gate. The old man's figure descended and his pair of turbid old eyes swept across the square. After which, his gaze immediately landed on the formation master who had spoken to Xiao Yan earlier. What happened? The old man's tone was slightly heavy as he spoke with some displeasure. Manager Dan, he was the one who attacked first. He injured our people from the Array Master Association. That middle-aged man pointed his finger at Xiao Yan. The moment the words came out of his mouth, he pushed all the blame onto Xiao Yan. As for the surrounding passers-by, they all chose to remain silent. If the person who had come was just an ordinary manager, they might still argue a little for Xiao Yan. However, when they saw that the person who had come was actually this old man, a deep fear involuntarily surged onto the faces of everyone present. Clearly, the position of this old man in everyone's hearts was quite high. As for Xiao Yan, he had completely ignored these words Dan. The old man in front of him was clearly a member of the Formation Master Association. His heart was naturally on their side. In this kind of situation, regardless of how Xiao Yan tried to explain, the old man would only see him as quibbling. It was completely useless. Moreover, given Xiao Yan's strength, he did not have the slightest fear when facing this old man. A 4-star Do-D and a rank 3 formation master. This kind of strength might have quite a high position in Golden Yao City. However, if he wanted to use this to intimidate Xiao Yan, he was thinking too much. Is what he said true? Hearing the middle-aged man's words, the old man's frown deepened. A pair of turbid old eyes instantly looked at Xiao Yan. A sharpness surged into his dark eyes as he asked in a questioning tone. What are you talking about? If you want to accuse me of something, just come at me if you want to attack. Why is there a need to speak so much nonsense? Xiao Yan's expression was indifferent as he spoke in a cold tone. Brat, I don't care who you are. Since you have injured a formation master in my Golden Yao City, you must return with the old me and settle this matter. Hearing this, a cold expression surfaced on the face of the golden-robed old man. His voice was hoarse as he let out a low cry. Immediately, his body shook and a powerful force immediately spread out from the old man's body. In a flash, he had already arrived in front of Xiao Yan. His shriveled hand curled into a claw and grabbed at Xiao Yan's right shoulder. In response, the expression on Xiao Yan's face was unusually cold. He raised his hand and swung it at the old man's claw that was pouncing at him. The gentle action did not appear to carry the slightest threat. Even the old man involuntarily let out a cold snort of disdain in his heart. Soon after, the hand claw collided with the back of Xiao Yan's hand, which he had gently swung out. Xiao Yan's body did not move even a little after the attack landed. His raised hand also appeared to have paused in midair. On the other hand, the old man's claw, which was filled with a powerful aura, appeared to have collided with a hard rock at this moment. His entire body involuntarily trembled. Xiao Yan's expression changed. What, this brat? The pupils of the old man's shady eyes suddenly shrunk when he sensed the great strength on Xiao Yan's body. Just as he recovered, Xiao Yan's hand suddenly shook with great force. Immediately, a powerful force poured out like floodwater bursting a dam, sending the golden-robed old man flying with one strike. The old man landed in the crowd outside the city. His footsteps staggered on the ground as he withdrew by 1,000 feet. A row of deep gullies were left behind wherever he passed. In the end, the moment the old man raised his eyes, Xiao Yan's figure suddenly flashed. In the next moment, the old man felt a chill on his neck. A man's hand was gently placed on it. In an instant, the old man's heart was in his throat. His old face was as pale as a sheet of paper from fear. His body instinctively wanted to dodge, but in the next moment, Xiao Yan's cold voice slowly spat out from his mouth. "If you dare to move, I will immediately crush your neck." As he spoke, Xiao Yan's ice-cold hands slightly tightened. The old man's hurried breathing abruptly turned sluggish as his heart immediately filled with fear. At the same time, the surrounding passers-by were shocked once again. They did not expect the black-robed young man to be so powerful. Not only did he easily deal with the 5 second-rank formation masters, but even the old man was not his match. Such strength could truly be considered as terrifying. However, at this moment, just as Xiao Yan's hand was holding the old man in the palm of his hand, 2 figures slowly walked out from the crowd. Their gazes were fixed on Xiao Yan. "Friend, can you let him off on my account?" Chapter 863. 2 human figures slowly stepped forward from the front of the crowd. They walked to an empty space 100 feet away from Xiao Yan. One of them was a young man wearing a white embroidered robe. He cupped his hands toward Xiao Yan and spoke with a smile. As this cold, faint laughter sounded, Xiao Yan's gaze also followed and looked at the young man. The young man was wearing a long white embroidered robe. His face was handsome and he had an imposing appearance. At a glance, one would be able to sense that this man was definitely not an ordinary person. Under Xiao Yan's perception of his aura, the thing that caused him to be shocked was that this man's cultivation was actually a little higher than his. He had already reached the middle level of a 6-star Do D. This kind of cultivation could be considered the strongest among all the people of the younger generation that Xiao Yan had seen. A nearly 2-meter-tall black-robed old man stood beside this young man. A pair of turbid old eyes had also landed on Xiao Yan's body at the same time that Xiao Yan's gaze was looking at the latter. Hiss! At this instant, Xiao Yan's heart suddenly tightened. He had actually sensed an extremely dangerous aura from this old man. This kind of feeling was something that even the leaders of the 4 large sects had never given him. 9-star Do D. The expression in Xiao Yan's eyes involuntarily changed when he thought of this. An extremely obscure glint swiftly flashed across his eyes. At the same time, a fear involuntarily surged into his heart. Of course, while the emotions in Xiao Yan's heart were changing, his face naturally appeared as calm as before. Hearing the young man's words, Xiao Yan pretended to frown in dissatisfaction. It seemed that he was still unwilling to let the embroidered-robed old man go. "Hee, my friend. You should know that this is Jinyao City. Everyone in the western region admits that this is the world of formation masters. Almost all the powerful formation masters in the western region are gathered here. You hurt the people of the Formation Masters Association here, so they won't let you go easily. Why don't you hand him over to me and let me solve this problem for you? What do you think?" As if he had guessed Xiao Yan's thoughts, the young man's lips parted slightly, revealing a refined smile. At the same time, he stared at Xiao Yan, as if waiting for his answer. Xiao Yan's heart relaxed slightly when he heard this. These words of the young man could be considered to have given Xiao Yan a way out. After all, he did not want to fight with the Formation Masters in Jinyao City, but they were too overbearing, so he decided to teach them a lesson. It had to be said that the young man had appeared at the right time. His words had solved the problem that Xiao Yan was facing. Xiao Yan was naturally happy to do so. Xiao Yan's eyes flickered slightly, and then he looked coldly at the golden-robed elder who was being controlled in his palm. The moment the latter came into contact with Xiao Yan's eyes, his entire body involuntarily quivered. Xiao Yan, on the other hand, coldly snorted in disdain. The hand that was grabbing the latter's neck lifted him up and hung him in midair. Quickly following this, Xiao Yan waved his sleeves while everyone was still confused. His wide sleeves heavily smashed into the chest of this old man, sending him flying. He was like a broken sack as he heavily smashed into the ground. In an instant, his entire face turned pale. A muffled groan was emitted from his throat, forcefully suppressing the fishy sweet smell. The young man did not reveal a displeased expression when he saw this scene. Instead, He looked at the golden-robed old man and a cold smile flashed across the corner of his mouth. Soon after, his gaze turned to Xiao Yan. His face was respectful as he cupped his hands together and laughed softly. Haha, friend. You're really generous. If this matter was done by a reckless person, I'm afraid this guy would not be able to keep his life. Xiao Yan coldly laughed in his heart when he heard these words. He also cupped his hands to the young man. Without saying anything more, he turned around and walked into Jinyao City. Friend. What's the matter? Suddenly the young man chuckled again, and Xiao Yan frowned slightly, turning his head to look at the latter with flickering eyes. Haha, nothing, I just saw your strength and wanted to get to know you. My surname is Qin, and my name is Yun. Qin Yun. Murmuring in his heart, Xiao Yan's eyes flickered slightly as he thought in his heart. After a moment of hesitation, he looked up at the latter and said calmly, Xiao Yan. Hearing this, a warm smile appeared on Qin Yun's face. He nodded at Xiao Yan, then made an inviting gesture and watched as Xiao Yan slowly walked into the city. A moment after Xiao Yan left, the surrounding passers-by once again began to crowd. The human flow swiftly surged into Jinyao City. Taking advantage of the fact that the few formation masters were injured, they did not even take out the payment for the journey. At this time, the golden-robed elder came in front of Qin Yun with a weak face. He respectfully clasped his hands and said in a humble tone, Young Master Qin, thank you for your help. Young Master Qin, thank you for your help earlier. Otherwise, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to keep my life. It's just a small matter, Manager Dan. You don't have to worry about it. Qin Yun smiled faintly. His amiable appearance caused the gold-robed old man to feel even more respect for him. Immediately, Qin Yun led the black-robed old man, who had been silent all this while, and the two of them walked past this General Manager Dan with one in front and one behind. Humph, damn guy, how dare you hurt me? When I go back and report this to my superiors, I'll make you suffer. Manager Dan cursed hatefully, then turned around and was about to leave. However, the moment he turned around, Qin Yun, who had already moved past him, was standing right in front of him. Immediately, Manager Dan was greatly alarmed. He quickly bowed to the person in front of him and quickly explained, Senior Marshal Brother, I'm sorry. He quickly explained, Young Master Qin, please don't misunderstand. I was scolding that guy, I wanted him to. Enough, didn't you hear what I said earlier? I'll settle this matter for him, meaning that I'll bear all the consequences of this matter. Go back and report this to your superiors. Why, are you planning to let them deal with me? Qin Yun's face darkened, and a murderous intent flashed in the depths of his eyes. However, because he hid it so well, the person in front of him did not sense it. I don't dare, I just feel that. You don't feel anything. Nothing happened just now. Everything was just your imagination. Go back and do what you should do. You'd better not let me know what you shouldn't do. Qin Yun said indifferently. Then, under Manager Dan's terrified gaze, he turned around again and withdrew his murderous aura. In the blink of an eye, he had already disappeared outside Jinyao City. Chapter 864. After entering the city, Xiao Yan did not hesitate and headed straight to the center of Jinyao City. Although there were still more than 2 months before the auction, it would undoubtedly be beneficial for Xiao Yan if he could understand the situation within the auction house. After all, there were many experts in Jinyao City. Even the number of Do-Di experts was no less than 10. If he could understand the situation within the auction house, it would be beneficial for Xiao Yan. As Xiao Yan passed through the crowded human flow, he was able to see quite a number of golden-robed formation masters along the way. At the same time, there were many shops on both sides of the street that sold formation plates for a living. However, with Xiao Yan's current eyesight, most of the items in these shops were defective goods that could not enter Xiao Yan's eyes. Only the shops in the middle of the city would have true treasures. Of course, Xiao Yan was not interested in array discs. His goal was purely to understand the situation within the city. Following the crowd, Xiao Yan passed through many streets. At the same time, he discovered that the array masters in Jinyao City were frighteningly overbearing. No matter who it was, as long as they were in Jinyao City, they would be inferior to the array masters. Although Jinyao City was large, almost a third of the people here were array masters. Moreover, the closer he got to the center of the city, the clearer Xiao Yan could feel that there were many existences with extremely powerful spiritual strength in the center of the city. Some of them were so powerful that even Xiao Yan could not compare with them. There was no need to think too much about it. Naturally, it was a formation master whose spiritual strength had reached rank 4. Xiao Yan had only met one formation master of that level ever since he had arrived on the Yuanwu continent. That was the chief of the god-refining sect, Chen Zhen. However, what Xiao Yan did not expect was that within Jinyao City, there was actually a formation master whose spiritual strength was not weaker than Chen Zhen's. Putting it this way, this so-called Formation Master Association was also an extremely strong faction. This point was indeed as Xiao Yan had expected. The western region was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. This place was also a place with hidden dragons and crouching tigers. The so-called 4 great sects were merely the forces on the surface in the western region. Those forces that were hidden in the dark were the ones that could be considered truly terrifying. Thinking of this, Xiao Yan could not help but feel a sense of seriousness in his heart. Soon after, he recalled Qin Yun whom he had met at the city gate. I'm afraid this Qin Yun doesn't come from any ordinary faction. Xiao Yan secretly sighed in his heart. Subsequently, the gloomy mood in his heart quickly dissipated. Then, a fiery glow gradually emerged in his eyes as he gradually clenched his fists under his sleeves. Although the western region was filled with hidden dragons and crouching tigers and was abnormally dangerous, this was what Xiao Yan hoped for. As the saying goes, one is marked by the company one keeps. Only by walking with the strong would one be able to become stronger. In Xiao Yan's path to becoming a strong expert, which time did he not exchange blows with the strong? Through the pain of blood and tears, he continued to grow and mature. In the end, he was able to grow into a towering tree. At the same time on the other side, after entering the city, Qin Yun and the black-robed old man behind him walked towards a less populated alley in the city. Along the way, the black-robed old man, who had been silent, finally opened his mouth at this moment. Young master, that young man called Xiao Yan is not ordinary. A hoarse voice was emitted from the black-robed elder's mouth, causing Qin Yun, who was in front of him, to involuntarily pause his footsteps. He turned his head and revealed a surprised expression as he looked at the former. With a teasing smile he said, "To be able to get Uncle He to say such words, that Xiao Yan is definitely not ordinary. Young master is too kind." The black-robed elder bowed respectfully. Immediately, the two of them continued to walk deeper into the alley. At the same time, the black-robed elder continued to speak. That brat's spiritual strength has already reached rank 3. However, he is not a formation master. Therefore, he is definitely an alchemist. Alchemist. Hearing this, Qin Yun involuntarily frowned. However, he did not say anything more and continued to listen. An alchemist is actually able to raise his alchemy skills to such a level while also raising his dou qi. Such a person is rare on the continent. It can be imagined that if nothing unexpected happens, this person will definitely become a strong person of his generation. How is the strong person that you speak of compared to Tianju? As Qin Yun walked, he softly asked. He is only strong and not weak. The black-robed elder said in a serious tone. Qin Yun's footsteps paused. He instantly turned around. His pair of eyes were as sharp as swords as they stared at the black-robed elder. Seeing this, the latter's expression suddenly changed drastically. He hurriedly bowed deeply to Qin Yun as his heart trembled. Qin Yun was silent. The two of them stood quietly in this strange posture. Neither of them made the first move. Until over 10 breaths later. Ha 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 ha, good. Suddenly, Qin Yun emitted a loud laughter from his mouth. The heart of the person in front of him also suddenly relaxed. Haha, good, very good. Since this is the case, I, Qin Yun, will definitely be friends with him. How can I, Qin Yun, miss out on being able to become a strong person in the future? Yan He, go and tell Qi Ming and Xiao Yan of the Formation Master Association that no one is allowed to move. Whoever moves will die. After his voice sounded, without waiting for Yan He to reply, Qin Yun walked forward with a face full of smiles. Yan He, on the other hand, frowned tightly. He raised his head to look at Qin Yun, who was directly walking away. His old eyes revealed a strange expression. However, in the end, he helplessly shook his head and did not think too much about it. His body turned around and he walked toward the center of the city. In addition, bring that manager Dan back. Just as Yan He turned around, Qin Yun's voice was once again transmitted over. Immediately, The expression in Yan He's eyes suddenly focused. Only then did he heave a long sigh of relief in his heart. This was the Qin Yun that he had truly seen before. After Yan He left into the distance, the smile on Qin Yun's face gradually receded until it disappeared. In the end, it turned into a gloomy coldness. On the other side, Xiao Yan had also followed the flow of people and had already arrived at the center of Jinyao City. It was different from what Xiao Yan had imagined. There were no huge buildings here. Instead, it was a huge plaza. At a glance, there was a huge black stone pillar in the center of the plaza. The stone pillar was nearly 10 feet tall and had a diameter of over 2 meters. There were countless talismans engraved on it. Rays of golden light were emitted from it and gradually spread out. Finally, it condensed into a golden barrier in the sky above Jinyao City. From the looks of it, this formation was not only limited to the talismans on the city walls. The stone pillar in the center of the city was the key to the entire formation. Chapter 865. Standing in the huge square, Xiao Yan stared at the black stone pillar. For a moment, he was lost in thought. Suddenly, Xiao Yan regained his senses. His eyes quickly scanned the passers-by around him. His gaze was especially cautious. Xiao Yan once again looked at the stone pillar. His gaze slowly swept over it. Only then did he realize that no one dared to approach the area within 100 feet of the stone pillar. Perhaps it could be said that no one dared to approach it. The area around the stone pillar was like a dangerous place that no one dared to enter. What's going on? Xiao Yan's face involuntarily revealed a surprised expression when he sensed this. Just as some doubt arose in Xiao Yan's heart, he saw that a couple of formation masters in the square had actually turned their gazes toward him. Moreover, there was a thread of enmity within their gazes. Slightly shocked, Xiao Yan could not help but take a step forward and walk towards a more crowded area. Only then did he avoid the gazes of those people. Those few people who stared at him earlier were all Tier 3 array masters. Although Xiao Yan had successfully avoided those few people, the black-colored stone pillar caused Xiao Yan's heart to feel even more curious. It seemed that there was something extraordinary about that stone pillar. With the help of his powerful spiritual power, Xiao Yan weaved through the crowd and walked towards the auction house. Along the way, there were a few array masters. It was unknown whether it was intentional or not, but they all gathered around Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan listened to the news that was transmitted from the crowd as he walked in the direction of the auction house. Only then did he understand in his heart that almost everyone in the city already knew that the Fusang flower would appear in this auction. From the looks of it, Xiao Yan was a little slow. He had been looking forward to it for so long. Now that he had reached this place, it was actually something that everyone knew. Xiao Yan involuntarily shook his head and sighed with a smile when he thought of this. Putting it this way, it was likely that the ring was not something special. Instead, it was a card that the auction house used to advertise the auction. The goal was to maximize the benefits of the auction. Although this kind of advertising method caught Xiao Yan off guard, it must be said that it was because of this that the effect was so obvious. Without mentioning anything else, just the name of the Fusang flower was enough to win the attention of most people. There were still 2.5 months before the auction began. However, there were at least 10 elite Dodi in Jinyao City. These people were all here for the Fusang flower. Every time someone mentioned the Fusang flower, most people's faces would be filled with a wild and crazy expression. The latter's name was equally well known even in this barren land of the continent. The auction in Jinyao City this time around would likely attract the attention of many strong people in the western region. After all, the Fusang flower could increase the spiritual strength of a devourer. This kind of effect was not something that could be obtained through training. After a short while, Xiao Yan arrived in front of the auction house. The huge auction house was located at the northeast corner of the square. It occupied a large area and the building was luxurious and magnificent. It was not inferior to the Tianyun auction house in Yen City. When he arrived at the entrance of the auction house, Xiao Yan glanced at the 2 armored soldiers standing there. He was just about to approach when a few golden-robed figures quickly approached him. In the blink of an eye, they surrounded Xiao Yan. The matter that had suddenly occurred in front of the auction house caused quite a number of people to throw their gazes over. Xiao Yan, who was surrounded, could not help but frown slightly. He had been focused on the auction house in front of him earlier and did not notice the approach of these few people. Xiao Yan's gaze swiftly swept over the few people around him. Soon after, his gaze was fixed on a young golden-robed man. This person was one of the 5 rank 2 formation masters who had been sent flying by him at the city gate earlier. Seeing this person, Xiao Yan immediately understood the whole story in his heart. From the looks of it, this fellow in front of him should have found someone to take revenge. Looks like there is a little trouble. Xiao Yan smiled faintly. His foot, which had originally taken a step forward, once again landed. His body was fixed on the spot. His gaze turned around and once again swept over these few people. There were a total of 7 people. 3 of them were rank 3 formation masters while the remaining 4, including that young man, were rank 2 formation masters. As for their cultivations, other than the 2 3-star Do D, the rest were all at the level of a 9-star Ban D. Seeing the 4 people around him, Xiao Yan smiled and nodded. This Xingyao city was indeed the territory of the formation masters. He did not wish to cause any trouble. However, since the other party insisted on coming to find him, Xiao Yan could use this opportunity to make an example out of them and prevent more trouble. These 7 people who had arrived in a threatening manner also attracted the attention of the surrounding passers-by. Immediately, waves of exclamations were emitted from the surrounding crowd. Hey, isn't this Lu Meng? This fellow is a 3-star Do D. I heard that he had successfully entered the ranks of a rank 3 formation master not long ago. Recently, he has been extremely overbearing in this city. That's right. Recently, quite a number of people have suffered at the hands of this fellow, who asked him to be a rank 3 formation master. Even if they were angry, they did not dare to say anything. But what are they doing? Are they going to find trouble with others again? Che, haven't you heard? Lu Quan was beaten up by someone at the city gate. It seems that the one who beat him up was a black-robed young man. Looking at this brat's appearance, it should be him. This time around, he is in trouble. Tisk Tsk. Jinyao City is the territory of the formation masters. This brat is going to suffer for daring to injure a formation master here. Under the pitiful gazes of the surrounding people, the 7 people finally arrived in front of Xiao Yan. Their gazes were filled with hatred as they looked at Xiao Yan. Each of their faces revealed a vicious expression. Brat, are you the one who injured him earlier? The leader, a strong golden-robed man, shouted at Xiao Yan in a deep voice. Standing beside him was the rank 2 formation master called Lu Quan by the surrounding passers-by. This person was also the one who had been injured by Xiao Yan earlier. It's me. Xiao Yan did not even raise his head as he faintly replied. Brat, you actually dare to snatch a formation master in this Jinyao city. You are really tired of living. Seeing that Xiao Yan actually revealed an indifferent manner, the large man's face immediately revealed a fierce expression. A thought passed through his mind and a frightening spiritual strength immediately surged out. It swiftly agglomerated into an invisible large hand and grabbed at Xiao Yan. Chapter 866. A powerful spiritual strength swarmed out of the large man's body. It swiftly agglomerated into an invisible large hand in the empty space in front of him that grabbed at Xiao Yan. Humph! A cold snort was emitted from Xiao Yan's mouth when faced with the latter's attack. His feet took half a step forward. A thought passed through his mind and the vast and mighty spiritual strength between his brows began to wildly surge out. It formed a spiritual storm that violently collided with a large spiritual hand that was heading toward him. Bang! When the attack landed, an invisible storm swept apart between the two of them. Both of their bodies shook at the same time. Xiao Yan's expression changed slightly. He frowned and took half a step back. At the same time, the large man's expression was dark and ruthless as he took 5 steps back. The burly man had only broken through to become a rank 3 array master not long ago, while Xiao Yan's soul power had already reached the level of a rank 3 alchemist a few years ago. After a few years of accumulation, Xiao Yan had reached the level of a rank 3 advanced alchemist with just his soul power alone. He was only a short distance away from becoming a rank 4 alchemist. There was simply no comparison between the two. The burly man was already lucky to be able to force Xiao Yan back half a step. Seeing that the large man was actually forced back by Xiao Yan, the faces of the few people around him involuntarily revealed a surprised expression. Even the expression on the face of the large man had become solemn. Although the person in front of him looked young, his soul power was far above his. It was no wonder that he could easily break through the joint attack of 5 rank 2 array masters. To be able to possess such tyrannical soul power at such a young age, and to be able to face 7 array masters at the same time without batting an eyelid, and to be so calm and collected, This meant that if this person was not strong, then he most likely had a powerful background behind him. With these thoughts in his mind, the burly man could not help but retract the overflowing killing intent in his heart. He knew that in Jinyao City, although array masters were protected due to the rules here, if they offended a powerful faction, even the higher-ups would not be able to save them. Hence, when facing such a person, he had to first understand his background. Brat, I, Lu Meng, do not kill nameless people. Speak. Who are you and where did you come from? Only then will you be worthy of dying in my hands. No need to test me. If you want to kill me, just come. I am alone and have no faction behind me, so you don't have to worry about anyone finding trouble with you if you kill me. Hearing this, Xiao Yan seemed to have seen through the burly man's intention, and the corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. The moment Xiao Yan's words sounded, a wave of laughter was immediately emitted from the surrounding passers-by. At the same time, the expressions of the 7 people around Xiao Yan also turned green under this ridicule. The muscles on the corner of their mouths involuntarily twitched intensely. The killing intent in their eyes surged out without the slightest concealment at this moment. Buzz! As the killing intent in his heart surged, Lu Meng's body suddenly moved. Do Qi covered the surface of his body as his body rotated in mid-air. His right leg swung up and viciously chopped down at Xiao Yan from above. A ferocious wind tore the air apart. The pants on the burly man's right leg stuck tightly to the skin on his leg and became as hard as steel at this moment. Lu Meng's ruthless attitude caused quite a number of people in the surrounding to exclaim in surprise. This fellow was indeed as overbearing as the rumors said. However, in the face of Lu Meng's sharp and overbearing ferocious attack, Xiao Yan was too lazy to even lift his eyes. He slowly lifted his right hand and his sleeves moved with it, gently colliding with Lu Meng's right leg. Immediately, a low and deep sonic boom sounded. Soon after, a wind rippled outwards. Lu Meng's expression also abruptly changed at this moment. His body uncontrollably retreated and his feet staggered for dozens of steps. Turning his head, the burly man immediately shot his gaze toward Xiao Yan. His expression was extremely serious. This fellow is actually also a Do Di. The short collision immediately revealed Xiao Yan's strength. Immediately, the surrounding few formation masters and even more passers-by also threw shocked gazes toward Xiao Yan. There were indeed quite a number of Do Di in the western region. However, it was likely that one would not be able to find a Do Di at such a young age, even if one searched the entire western region. Damn it! I was really careless this time around. Not only is this brat's spiritual strength stronger than mine, even his cultivation is above mine. The burly man thought in his heart in fear. Soon after, he turned his head and his gaze landed on the few formation masters around him. Immediately, the corner of the burly man's mouth was lifted into a savage smile. Humph, even if your spiritual strength is stronger than mine, even if you are a Do Di, I don't believe that you alone can fight against 7 of us formation masters. The burly man coldly cried out. His gaze swiftly swept over the few formation masters around him. Seeing this, the 6 of them immediately nodded their heads heavily. They exchanged glances with each other and a thought passed through their minds. Powerful spiritual strengths immediately surged out from the bodies of the 7 people like an erupting volcano. They intertwined with each other and swiftly agglomerated into an invisible large net that surrounded Xiao Yan from top to bottom. Seeing this scene, Xiao Yan involuntarily frowned. Although his fighting strength was above theirs, there were after all 3 rank 3 formation masters here. This kind of strength could not be underestimated. However, in order to avoid more trouble, Xiao Yan could only choose to end the battle quickly. The moment he thought of this in his heart, an invisible flame immediately lingered over Xiao Yan's pair of dark black eyes. The instant Xiao Yan raised his head, a hot flame suddenly surged out from within Xiao Yan's body. It carried an invisible heat wave that spread around Xiao Yan's body. This flame was the Fallen Heart Flame. The Fallen Heart Flame was known as the nemesis of spirits. With a fallen heart flame around, it was not difficult for Xiao Yan to swiftly finish off these few fellows with the overbearing fallen heart flame, and his own strength even though there were 3 rank 3 formation masters among the few people in front of him. What is this? One of the 7 formation masters involuntarily let out an exclamation when he sensed the invisible heat wave attacking over. He could only feel that his spirit was trembling intensely from the heat wave. However, just as this frightened thought had just appeared in the hearts of the few of them, Xiao Yan swiftly controlled the fallen heart flame. He clenched his large hand and it transformed into an invisible large fire ruler. The moment the large spiritual net fell, it violently hacked at it. Chapter 867. The invisible flaming ruler was swung from the bottom to the top. The moment the net fell, it collided with it. Chi chi chi. The expected violent collision did not occur. Instead, there was a sizzling sound that sounded like ice and fire colliding. At the same time, the space where the two collided suddenly distorted. Following that, with a dull explosion, the space above Xiao Yan's head suddenly exploded. As the dull explosion rang out, Xiao Yan stood where he was without a change in expression. His hand trembled slightly, and the invisible flaming ruler in his hand automatically dispersed. Almost at the same time, the faces of the 7 array masters around him instantly turned deathly pale. Their bodies went limp on the ground uncontrollably, and a heart-wrenching pain came from the depths of their minds. The spiritual strength of the few of them could not even withstand a single blow from the invisible flame. The frightening flame swiftly consumed their souls with absolute strength. If they had not withdrawn their remaining spiritual strength in time, it was likely that their spiritual origins would have been seriously injured in the short few breaths of collision. At that time, even their level as array masters would be lowered. If they were not careful, it might even leave them with irreparable sequelae. Thinking of this, the 7 of them were even more terrified. They looked at the black-robed young man in front of them in horror. Using both their hands and feet, their bodies involuntarily retreated. No matter what, they never thought that with the strength of the 7 of them, it would be difficult to be a match for the person in front of them. Other than this, even those passers-by who were observing from the surroundings could not help but reveal shocked expressions on their faces. Numerous gazes gathered on the black-robed young man in the arena. In an instant, Xiao Yan had become the focus of everyone's eyes. Ignoring the gazes of the surrounding passers-by, Xiao Yan looked at the burly man with a sharp gaze. In the collision just now, the burly man had invested the most spiritual strength. This caused his spiritual strength to be the most seriously injured among the 7 people. However, this did not affect Xiao Yan's intention to kill him. Sensing the killing intent within Xiao Yan's gaze, the expression on the large man's face, which was filled with fear, involuntarily changed once again. His body forcefully pulled back as he stared at Xiao Yan with a face filled with fear. He hurriedly roared. "What do you want to do? This is Jinyao City, the territory of the Array Master Association. I did not want to cause trouble, but since you insist on causing trouble for me, I will not be polite to you. So what if you are an array master? I will kill you." Xiao Yan's face was ice cold. As he spoke, he slowly stepped forward. Seeing that he had already arrived in front of the burly man, he raised his hand and a dense white flame surged out from his palm. It swiftly covered Xiao Yan's entire hand. Seeing this scene, the burly man immediately felt a great fear in his heart. He could no longer care about his spiritual essence. He forcefully endured the intense pain that was transmitted from deep within his spiritual essence and climbed up with great difficulty. He wanted to escape into the crowd. Xiao Yan would naturally not give this fellow the opportunity to flee when he saw that he was about to do so. His 5 fingers were clenched into a fist as he threw a punch at the large man. It was also at this moment that a powerful voice was suddenly transmitted from the entrance of the auction ground. "Little brother, please have mercy." The powerful voice was transmitted over like a muffled thunder. The voice contained a special strength that caused one's spiritual essence to tremble. One could imagine that it was a spiritual do skill. However, even with the obstruction of the voice, Xiao Yan did not have any intention of stopping. Relying on his own powerful spiritual strength, the latter directly ignored the soul skill. At the same time, the punch that he threw out did not have the slightest pause. The dense white flame fist turned into a ball of fire in the empty space and directly smashed towards the back of the burly man in front of him. Wherever it passed, numerous pitch-black spatial cracks appeared in the invisible empty space. Swoosh! A sharp sound of breaking air suddenly sounded. The person who had spoken earlier was currently charging towards the ball of dense white flame with a gloomy expression, intending to block it. However, no matter how fast that person was, he was still one step behind in the end. When the human figure arrived in front of the ball of fire, the dense white ball of fire coincidentally smashed violently onto the body of the burly man. Immediately, a miserable cry soared into the sky. The dense white flame also rose and was reflected in the eyes of the human figure. For a moment, everyone in the auction house was silent. Numerous gazes were like spotlights as they landed on the human figure who had appeared at this moment. Soon after, a wave of surprised gasps sounded. At this moment, the latter was also frowning slightly. His face was helpless as he looked at Xiao Yan. The two of them were only a couple of dozen feet apart. Their eyes looked at each other. Xiao Yan's eyes were as calm as water while the latter's eyes carried a helpless expression. The matter had already developed to such an end. What could he do even if he was dissatisfied in his heart? Did he really want to offend an elite Dodi for a dead person? This was clearly not worth it. The human figure's gaze swept over Xiao Yan from head to toe. Immediately, a strange expression involuntarily flashed across his pair of bright eyes. It was not that he had never seen such a young elite Dodi. It was just that he should have more or less heard of such a person in the western region. However, the person in front of him gave him a completely unfamiliar feeling. This caused him to have no choice but to reconsider the seriousness of this matter. While this human figure was sizing up Xiao Yan, the latter's gaze also swept over the human figure at this moment. At this moment, the person who had appeared in front of Xiao Yan was a middle-aged man. He was wearing a purple round neck robe. He had a square face, a full beard, sword-like eyebrows, and starry eyes. He had a heroic aura. This was especially the faint aura that seeped out from his body, causing Xiao Yan to feel solemn. The cultivation of the person in front of him was likely not inferior to the leaders of the 4 large sections. This was also a strong 8-star Dodi. This Jinyao city was really filled with hidden dragons and crouching tigers. I am Wu Gang, the deputy chairman of this auction house. May I ask for your name? After hesitating for a moment, Wu Gang politely cupped his hands toward Xiao Yan and asked, I am Xiao Yan. Seeing the latter act in this manner, Xiao Yan also cupped his hands together courteously. From the latter's expression, he did not have any intention of pursuing the matter from earlier. This had saved Xiao Yan a lot of trouble. Mister, do you know who he is? Although Wu Gang would not pursue the matter of Lu Meng's death, he could not help but change the topic to this matter. After all, this person had died at the entrance of their auction house. If their auction house did not take any action, it was inevitable that the people from the Formation Master Association would dislike them. Rank 3 Formation Master, a member of the Formation Master Association. Xiao Yan smiled. His smile did not contain the slightest fear. Seeing Xiao Yan reveal such an appearance, Wu Gang could not help but be startled. From the spiritual strength and the heavenly flame that Xiao Yan possessed, Wu Gang could tell that he was an alchemist. However, this was after all Jinyao City, the territory of a formation master. He was actually able to say such words in such a relaxed manner. This really caused one to feel surprised. However, just as Wu Gang was about to open his mouth again, a couple of golden-robed figures swiftly rushed over from the crowd in the distance. Seeing this, the two of them could not help but frown slightly. After which, Wu Gang hurriedly gestured to Xiao Yan to invite him in. Before that group of people arrived, he had already invited Xiao Yan into the auction house.